Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. Welcome back to our rescheduled live show. Fingers crossed, y'all. Please say a nice word, put in a kind word to Mercury, or just send good vibes to Mercury and ask him to be with us during this live stream, because I have to tell you, I am over the Mercury in Taurus, square Saturn in Aquarius. I'm over it. Hopefully we can maintain this, so fingers crossed. Just a big thank you to everybody who came back. If you guys saw, maybe you did, when we had the live on Sunday, got all kind of screwed up. You kept seeing me probably repeat for like 40 minutes. It got caught in a loop, glitch in the matrix, whatever. We refunded everyone. So if you made a purchase, we refunded you. I apologize. If you would like to get into the queue and get a reading tonight, you can do so. So welcome back. I do the show weekly, usually on Saturdays. This time it was Sunday. Now it's on Tuesday. Mercury retrograde. And we're going to be doing live tarot readings all by donation. If you looked over here to my side, there's a QR code. You can scan that QR code. It's going to take you directly to my PayPal, where you can make a donation for a reading. So $20 for one card, $40 for 3 cards. We're accepting any tips, donations, anything you would like to pay above the $20 or $40 payment is welcomed. I always appreciate tips and donations for people who are watching. Also, if you are a level 3 subscriber, you are going to be somebody who is going to be one of the first people to get readings. We always take our level 3 subscribers first before we get into the queue. I know last time Paula and Jessica was hoping to get their monthly reading. So if you guys are here, let me know, or any of the other level 3 people. We're now, what is it, the 11th? So we're like mid-month. So if you have a level 3 membership, if you want to cash in on your monthly, you can, or you can come back on Saturday. In just a couple days, we're going to have astrology. So it's just, you know, we're just banging them out over here. Please like and share the stream. Sharing is caring. Give us a thumbs up. Share it if you're in astro groups or tarot groups or anything like that. We always appreciate that. The more interaction we get, the more that we're likely to get people who are going to kind of funnel in. And of course, there's like 10 or 11 people who have already gotten in the queue for the readings. So as the level 3 people filter in, sometimes they will, as we're live for a little bit, we'll take them. I definitely want to start with Ellie, who was very generous and gave us a super chat donation last time. She reached out to me and wanted me to pull a couple cards because she's not going to be here. And then these are everybody else that I have. So I'm just going to ask you guys, please be patient to expedite the process. Know that we're doing tarot. So when you make the donation on PayPal, in the memo, put your question. If you don't want me to use your name, let me know. If your name differs on PayPal versus on YouTube, let me know. If you get lost in the process, there is a scrolling bar at the bottom of this video where you can get all of the information. So it'll let you know what we accept, how to send a payment, or any other questions like that. So I've got, obviously, Ellie. Then we've got Vanessa, Christiana, Udinana, Katie, Michelle, Amber, Haiti, Boxwood and Rose, Stephanie, Todman. So these are the people I have so far. Thank you guys very much. We're going to be with you. Hi, everyone. Hi, Moonrise. Hey, Kayla Ann. How's it going? Michelle, what's going on? Todman, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It was so stressful. I was like, ah. We were gonna try again, but you know, I don't know what it was. We very Mercury retrograde moment. We realized that we're paying for a very high quality internet, and we're getting really great download speeds, but our upload speed's getting choked. So I'm trying not to be like a conspiracy theorist, but I keep telling my husband, I'm like, it's the government. They're trying to shut us down, and he's like, you're fucking crazy. Anyways. So we're going to try to roll with it, and we'll go ahead and get going with whoever's in the queue. Hey, Kirsten, how's it going? All right, so we're going to start with Ellie, and I have Ellie's question here. Ellie said, I'm not going to be able to make the live, but my question is, will he contact me? He's an Aquarius sun and moon. I previously blocked him, but I don't know if he tried to contact since then. I'm a Sag rising, Pisces sun, Libra moon. Oh my goodness. Well, Sag rising, Mercury retrograde in your 7th, making all those squares also to your sun. How Pisces of you. Let's take a look. Let's see. Oh man, all the cock strokes. I was like, there's got to be someone else, you know, but apparently it's very limited in these parts. All right, so let's see. In regards to Ellie's Aquarius Sun, Aquarius Moon man, who by the way is like a robot, so you're probably not getting the response that you want because it's a lot of air, girlfriend. Let's see what the cards are saying. Even though you blocked him, is he still trying to get in contact with you? I love that. That's such like a Pisces, like Neptunian thing. Hey Kayla, we added refunds for everybody because I didn't want to just assume that people were going to show up. I didn't want to take anybody's money. So if you want to get in the queue, you're more than welcome to. You just send the payment back to the Beyond the Veil PayPal and then input your question or any details that you'd like me to know. So in regards to this man, interesting stuff kind of going on here. You know, one thing I would say is that I do get the impression, you know, from start to finish that there is the possibility that there is going to be some kind of reconnection. I don't feel like that's been something that has happened. I kind of chuckle looking at the Ace of Coins reverse because it's saying that he feels like you like dropped him like a hot potato. You were like, and I'm done with you. Whether that was blocking him or telling him that it was over or that you were done, that Ace of Coins is like not reaching, not trying, not feeling connected, not feeling like you're invested. Something like that's happening here. So I don't really feel like that has been the case. He hasn't been reaching. What's interesting is you have Five of Swords reversed, so it can be kind of talking about letting things cool off a little bit or like feeling the need to like not bombard you or not like upset you. Do I think he knows he's blocked? Probably actually, because the Ace of Coins, when it's reversed, it's like, you know, you're not receptive. Like he knows you don't want to hear from him or that you kind of like cut off that physical ability to kind of reach you. So I think he knows. But Five of Swords is like, he's not going to add fuel to the fire. He's not going to be, you know, disrespecting your boundaries, or if you're feeling like you need to set that boundary, he's not going to overstep that. What's interesting is the Six of Coins is coming up, so it's saying like maybe perhaps when you're feeling more receptive, or maybe perhaps when he's like when he's had some time to let the dust settle, he'll reach back out. This is about fairness and give and take. So possibly also I've seen this card come up sometimes when there's like an apology that's like, hey, you know, I could have handled the situation better, but it may not come for increments of 6. So 6 days, 6 weeks, anything like that. I get the impression it's going to take a little bit of time. Could be the 6th month. We're in June, right? So I don't know how long it's been since you've blocked him, but it's saying like when things are more in balance or you're more receptive or when he feels like there is like a possibility or an open potential to be able to apologize and reconnect with you, he may do that. Like that might be something that he does. But the truth is like one thing I will say with these 2 coins coming up, and this is the element of air, are we sending mixed signals, right? Because air and earth, they don't mix well. It's like if you take a rock and you throw it up in the air, it just falls. Or if you take dirt and you throw it up in the ground, it just kind of goes everywhere. Those elements don't mesh very well. They don't understand each other. So the actions and the actual ideas and the motivations, they're not matching up. So it's like blocking somebody. I'm a big fan of blocking people, I'm not gonna lie, because I feel like it sends like an energetic, like, nope, thou shall not pass kind of feeling. It's kind of really similar to like, it's just what, like modern day banishment when you think about it. But when you're setting that intention and you're blocking that energy and not allowing him to kind of step forward, it's not mixing well with the Five of Swords. It's kind of saying like, okay, well, in your mind, you're hoping that this is going to kind of clear out any miscommunications or maybe make it very clear that you don't want to talk to him, so you're making him reach, but the elements don't mix, right? So it is saying that there is a need to kind of find balance in terms of the dynamic between 2 people, Six of Coins, and finding either a way or a place or a space or a time period that you guys are both going to be a little bit more receptive. But he got the message for sure, but I don't really think that he's been reaching out because Swords to deal with intellect. That's like literally making a phone call, writing a message, sending a text message, whatever. He may see this as something that was very abrasive and that you didn't even give him the chance to have that open line of communication. So he's like, wow, she must not want to hear from me. Like, you know, what am I supposed to do? I'm not going to push it. So just take that into consideration. You know, perhaps maybe you're going to decide within a certain period of time that you're going to unblock him and allow that space to be cleared and get more in alignment with the energy that you're trying to kind of set up, right? Because like I said, air and earth, they don't mix. So this is about actions and actual intellect or your ideas or your communication kind of being in disarray. So you have to kind of pick a lane and decide which direction you want to go in. The Six of Coins is a very positive card, though. I do see that as you guys being able to communicate in a way that's more fair. But I don't really think he's gonna like go above and beyond. I hear some crazy stuff, seriously. Like I'll hear from clients like, oh, I blocked him on, I blocked his number and I blocked him on my social media and my Facebook and my Instagram. And, he sent me a message on my Etsy account. Like, let me tell you something. If a man wants to get a hold of you, he'll find a way. He'll send fucking smoke signals or a pigeon. He'll show up at your doorstep, whatever. There's other ways for people to be able to communicate and connect with you. But you seem to have set a really clear message that's just like, I'm done with you. So because of that, think about that and how you can kind of either make the decision to kind of energetically open that door again. Sometimes it's unblocking somebody and being like, okay, I'm just going to let this, kind of go neutral. And when the time is right, we'll reconnect. Sometimes it's about literally like making a move to reset the balance. It's like, hey, I'm sorry I didn't give you the chance to respond. I do want to talk to you, but in a way that's going to be fair. Sometimes the Six of Coins is also a peace offering, or it can be doing something to kind of like reset the balance between the two of you. So if you're feeling like, based off of this reading, you're like, wow, he really thinks I'm like not open to it. Just take that into consideration and decide if there's something you can do, some action you can take to kind of like balance things out, right? Just to find that like neutral. For every action, there's a reaction. That's what the Justice card is about. That's what the Six of Coins is about. So this is the action. So you would literally have to take another action in order to kind of balance things and be more receptive or be more open to be able to communicate with him, okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you. Thank you for sending me that message. I appreciate that. I had to read that from one of my DMs. And then we've also got Vanessa here. No worries, Kayla. People send requests all the time. They go unfulfilled, but they send them. All right. So now we're going to go on to Jessica. Oh, no, not Jessica. Excuse me, Vanessa. Vanessa, what's up, girl? You got in there. She was like, what day is it going to be? Actually, a couple people, a couple of my OG people who I've been reading for like years are like, shit's hitting the fan. You guys are all in the all in the chat right now. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. All right, so Vanessa says, I want to know why the Sag completely stopped talking to me. Is this connection dead or is it unrepairable? It's interesting. A card jumped out. I'm not going to read that, but I was too busy looking at that cool. I'm watching myself, okay? I'm watching myself on the edit. I just watched everything kind of move. I don't usually see the screen move. But the card that jumped out was the Ace of Wands. So many aces. Ace of Wands. And it's just talking about energetic changes that are going on right now. So let's see what the cards say. So what's up with the Sagittarius? Why did he completely stop talking to Vanessa? Is it a dead connection? Is it irreparable? So Ace of Wands is saying, hey, there's something changing here. Oh man, with Judgment. Ace of Wands and Judgment, making swift decisions. Swift decisions. It's also about, this can be about anger. This can be about being like, if you're doing this, I'm doing that, right? And I don't know if there was like a tiff. I don't know if there was something that got set off that brought out a very intense reaction from you or from him. The Judgment card kind of coming up is basically saying like, there is a decision that's being made as to whether or not you guys move forward. It's definitive. So if you're asking, is it dead? It's interesting because like the Judgment card, you see there are people that are being brought back up from the dead, right? So this is kind of like, Revelation style, like, oh, everybody's saved, like Judgment Day is upon us, and like everybody is able to kind of return and come back. So it is saying that this is not a dead connection. The Ace of Wands is very lively. It's got a lot of energy. It's got a lot of passion. It's literally got a heartbeat and it's warm. So that jumping out with the Judgment card is saying like, don't be too quick to make a decision and be like, okay, this is done, because there is some vitality to this still. There is still a spark here, but I think the Judgment card is more talking about the fact that is it something you really want to resurrect? You know, just because you guys aren't talking right now doesn't mean it's over. In fact, it's actually saying like it has the ability to kind of be resuscitated and brought back to life, right? And that there is a really strong physical or sexual or creative connection that you have here. But do you want to revive that? Do you want to bring it back? Is it purely just a physical connection? Is it just sex, right? Is it just chemistry? Is there something more? So, you know, the Judgment card is saying whatever decision that you make right now, it's going to be something that's going to stick. And if you decide to sit here and go like, they're not reaching out to me, they're not trying to talk to me, they're not trying to see me, and if that's the case, I'm done, then you can wrap this up and you can bury it and you can be on your merry way. But if you did decide that you were like, hey, you know what, if I reach out to him, is he going to reach back out to me? If I'm going to try to see him and spend time with him or reconnect with him or sleep with him, like, he'll be receptive of that. But the question is it just, is it something that's just more physical, right? Because the Ace of Wands can be like a good time, a physical connection, lots of sparks, but what are you looking for? Do you want more than that? Do you want more than just fun? I notice also you say he's a Sag. This is the energy that talks about that. So it's basically saying turning over a new leaf. So this person could be turning over a new leaf and going through a process of kind of figuring out like what makes them passionate, what makes them happy, what do they want to be looking for when it comes to dating and romance? Are they making a decision that they want more than just a physical connection? Do they want more than just friends with benefits? There's some big choices and decisions being made here, more so from the Sag, as to whether or not your guys' connection is actually going to be something that can stay the same or if it needs to be reborn, because aces are something that's new. So I kind of feel like it's come to a turning point in your connection with him where maybe this is somebody who just wants to have fun and you're like, okay, I'm not really looking to do that, you know, so you need to make a decision as to whether or not you guys move forward together. Both of these cards are positive, so if you're just asking me point blank, is the connection dead? No. If you're asking me point blank, if you cannot repair it, no, it can be repaired. But really what it's saying is that this can be a purely physical connection. You have to be asking yourself if you want to continue to be playing these kind of cat and mouse games with someone. And also, is this creating enough friction and enough incentive for you to be like, I'm not doing this anymore. You know, I'm changing the rules of the game. When it comes to connecting with this person, it needs to be all on or nothing at all. So a choice is going to be made. Look for that to be happening within the next month. I would also say, just knowing, I know a lot about your astrology. This Mercury retrograde for Virgos has been quite challenging in general, right? Because Mercury rules your chart. But it's been happening in an area of your chart specifically that is not giving you a lot of clarity. It's like feeling like people are kind of playing games or they're not getting back to you in general. And then secondly, you know, just knowing some of the setup that's going to be coming over the next couple of weeks, just know that astrologically it's going to bring a bit of friction for you, especially like the Mars-Pluto squares that are going to be happening in the next month. It's going to bring a lot of friction for you in regards to you possibly being like a little overly aggressive in relationships. Okay, so you just want to watch for that. So it's about taking action, and it's not waiting for somebody else to make a decision. It's about you making the decision. All right. Thank you, Mr. Romero. Thank you, Connie. I got you guys. We've got Christiana. Kristen. I want to know if I'm pronouncing this wrong. Please correct me. It's a beautiful name, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hello. Can I have some advice on how to clear negative work karma so I can achieve abundance via work and career? I'm a female Cap Sun, Gemini Rising, Virgo Moon. Thanks so much. Great question. Such a great question. Yeah, let's take a look at it. If you're a Gemini Rising, Christina, I think. You've got Pluto going retrograde through your 6th now. And certainly I think, you know, with that retrograde, it's giving you the opportunity to kind of change and transform relationships with coworkers or your schedule in general. I think one thing that's working for you is the fact that even though Mercury has been in some uncomfortable angles, Mercury making a trine to Pluto, right? So Mercury has been in Taurus in your 12th house. If you're a Gemini rising, making that trine, I think, is really kind of setting the stage for you to think long and hard about what you can change and transform in the spiritual realm. So good on you. That's definitely how that works out. I would say, well, let's see what the cards say, but I would also say that there's another period that's going to be coming when you see some squares to Pluto. So Mars will square Pluto down the road here in a little bit, and that's about not pushing too hard when it comes to dealing with your coworkers, but clearing negative karma so you can achieve abundance at work specifically. Let's take a look. Morning, Catherine. Nope. Let me know if you want to get in on your reading. Okay, Chris, so this is the card that I get for you. Cool card. It's actually very appropriate. Eight of Wands. So this is about swift moving energy. Tell me, do you work in an office space with other people? Do you have your own space? Like, what's the physical setup like? Because a card like this makes me feel like it's about going into your workspace and literally like zhuzhing everything up energetically. Sweeping the floors, getting everything out from your back corner office all the way through the front door, maybe burning some stuff, putting some candles in there, putting some warm herbs or some incense or something that's literally going to change the energies there. Also, this is about movement. So sometimes it's rearranging stuff in your office space. Sometimes it's about creating like a little altar space that's more for abundance and communication. It can be great for feng shui as well. So if you work in an office with other people, learning a little bit about feng shui and the different elements that can really benefit your space and the direction in which you can set things, you can shift and change the energy. So there's something that's kind of going on there that's like, okay, well, what can I shift energetically so that way I'm feeling like more in flow with other people? This can also be about working with the element of fire. So burning candles, setting intentions, burning intentions, anything like that. When you're talking about karma specifically, you would want to look at like your south node placement. You would also want to look at the ruler of your 6th house. So obviously, you know, Saturn rules Capricorn, but where is your natal Saturn? How is it aspected? Now, we could go a step further and talk about the fact that Saturn and Uranus have been in a square with each other off and on last year and also this year. So we're going to see the return of that Saturn-Uranus square. If you're a Gemini rising, you have Saturn in the 9th right now, and it's squaring off with Uranus that's in Taurus, so it's in your 12th house. So you literally do need to use spiritual techniques and be working in the astral realms and other things to be able to kind of move that stuff around. It can also materialize as working with people who are very culturally diverse or people in different places or not really knowing if you can trust certain coworkers. 12th house is the house of enemies, right? So if you're having squares to planets that are in your natal 12th house right now, there can be stuff coming up where you're realizing like not everybody at work is your friend, not everybody is kind of on your team. Yes, they work in an office where we have cubicles. They're having us move the end of the month to a new floor. So that movement, right, in general is going to be good. But once you move, take the opportunity to walk into the space and, you know, maybe put a little salt in the corners, you know, maybe put some earth elements in there. Capricorn, put some black tourmaline by the door, or I like to put black tourmaline pieces over the front door frame. Or if you want to prop your door open, you can get a big chunk of black tourmaline or smoky quartz. You could do that. So people who are walking in, you know, you clear all that energy out. But I think personally, South Node is in Sag for you, okay. I think personally for you, it's going to be, you know, finding ways to incorporate the element of earth and also boundaries within that space. So you're changing and transforming, you're neutralizing some of the energy that's going on there. And something else that you can do, because Pluto is there, is like, I would say with the Mercury trines right now, it can be about sitting in meditation, and maybe certain individuals you're having issues with, trying to clear it more in a meditative state, and like literally trying to kind of go back and forth and you know, send them positivity or try to kind of clear the air with communication in a meditative state before connecting with these people or even going into meetings. So that's another way that you could do this, you know? So hopefully that's helpful for you. We've got Miss Romero, Udanina. What kind of role do you see me? What kind of role do you see me having in my son's future career goals? All right, let's do it. Thanks, Nuri. I'll add you to the queue. We've got a couple people ahead of you, so just hang tight. So actually, I'll take Miss Romero, and then I've got you, Catherine, next. Awesome. That sounds great, Chris. All right, so what kind of role do you see me in my son's future career goals? Ooh, that one wanted to come out. 1, 2, 3. Queen of Pentacles. 5 of Swords reversed. The Justice card. Wow. It's the second time that card has made an appearance. Well, you gotta love coming up as the Queen of Pentacles. What's your sun sign? Are you an earth sign? Are you an earth rising? Queen of Pentacles is like boss mama in all the best ways. It's like somebody who's going to be like, I'll handle the business side of things, or I'll help you figure out the financials, or I'll handle the cash drops. Like, it's about being organized and being very grounded and having an overall sense of really good business savvy. But queens are also about nurturing. So it's like you going, okay, so you want to start a business. How can I help you start it? How can I help you qualify for a loan or business loan? What can I do to help you build out a storefront? What can I do to help you? So if you are an earth sign, awesome, because it's saying you're really showing your best natural abilities. Like, that's really shining through. And like, Earth likes to get involved there, get their hands dirty. They like to build things. They like to organize. They like to handle stuff. So if that's something that you're doing, cool. Virgo, he's Aquarius, awesome. 5 of Swords reverse is interesting too, because that makes me feel like that's about clearing things out. So it is talking about you being like, okay, do I need to be the face of, the business, and do you need to actually be the one who like runs everything? So you might be somebody who's more involved in like handling clients, anything in regards to media, talking to people, answering phones, organizing, these kinds of things, stuff that's going to require more communication. Being that you're Virgo, that's awesome for you, because you're really great at all the administrative stuff. You're also going to catch all of like the little things that other people might overlook, all the details. But this also makes me feel that if he's getting discouraged in any way, or if he gets overwhelmed in any way business-wise, and he's telling himself, I don't know if I could do it, I don't know if I'm good enough, you're going to be like, keep your head in the game, stay grounded. Like, you're going to kind of be his cheerleader. And you can help break down any issues that he has mentally, any blocks that he has from being able to feel like he can do it, or that he's good enough. And you just might be like a much stronger kind of communicator in general. It's a great combination to have Virgo and Aquarius, especially because, the aspects that you make to each other, you create an in conjunct, right? So it's like you guys bring out the best qualities in one another. And while he may be thinking about future endeavors and where the business can go and the group that he can build and the people that he can help, you're going to be like, okay, let's get practical. This is how we do the accounting, or this is how we do this or that. Justice is interesting too, because I feel like you guys can be business partners, or maybe you've talked about being business partners. If you have a background, or if you have an understanding in law, legality, going through the process of applying for permits, or being able to kind of get licensing of any kind for the business, or maybe people who can help you do the legal documentation work, or they can help you go and apply for things to get official titles. That's how you're going to help. But usually when I see the Justice card coming up in a question in regards to like what are we doing together in the future, it can say there is a business partnership that's brewing, and that legally you guys both may be owners of some kind, or that you guys may be able to kind of like balance out the roles or the responsibilities when it comes to work in general. I'm very curious how that plays out though, because just knowing that Virgo, Justice or Libra is your 3rd house. That's about communication and documents. For an Aquarius, that's all going to be very much tied to like legality, traveling, teaching, education. So I'm wondering, like, are you teaching him something about business? Are you teaching him your philosophy, or are you helping him with your experience that you've had professionally in the past, and being like, okay, you don't have to pay me, I'll help you build it, we'll build it together, and then we'll own it together. There's some kind of give and take that's happening here. But I do think it's really positive. I think that it's just really important that you're staying connected with him, and you're reminding him that he is good enough, he is capable, like really be reminding him, that he needs to stay on task. And if this is something that you guys are hoping to achieve together, that communication is really, really important, because Virgo can kind of get on Aquarius's case about not being on time, or thinking too much about the big picture, or wanting to work independently and not leaning on you for support. right? That's something that definitely happens. And vice versa. You guys can bring these out in each other. I have a lot of experience in business. You pull a card for me in my forecast at work somewhere, I'll send $20. Yeah, you can do that. And then in regards to your forecast for work this summer, 3 of Swords reversed. Well, interesting. This tells me coming out of a difficult situation where there's been some disappointments in regards to work. I can only think about like the Mercury retrograde for Virgos going through the 10th house and them going back and forth being like, you know, did a job not pan out the way you thought it would? Did you apply for something and did you not get the job? Were you hoping you were going to get some kind of improvement, or were you hoping that you were going to get a raise or something, or were you going to launch something and it didn't work? So it's telling me the good news is that you're coming out of a period of being like, this has been really difficult, this has been kind of shitty, I've been disappointed with not feeling like I'm either working or living or being in my passion, but you're coming out of it. So if the 3 of Swords has to come up, it being reversed tells me that it's about you not focusing on what didn't work, it's full steam ahead on what is coming, and also repairing anything that's gone on emotionally damage-wise in regards to your career. So if you feel like there's been a letdown, or if you feel like you haven't quite reached what you've been hoping to reach, this is going to be a period over the next 3 weeks, 3 months of clearing that out and preparing for something new, okay? Hopefully that's helpful. Thank you, Kirsten. Catherine, my dear, we're doing tarot tonight. Let me know what your question is. Otherwise, I'll give you a general reading. And I'm just going to do a quick check-in here to see who else we've got in the PayPal. Thank you guys for your patience. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. So Catherine, let me know. Yeah, I don't know what happened, Miss Romero, but whatever disappointment you had, you're clearing that out, you're brushing it off, and you're moving forward. And just know that later this year, Mars will go retrograde in the 10th house, Gemini for Virgos. So there is a sense of like, do I want to do this or do I want to do that? And you're still making some shifts and you're making some changes. So keep that in the back of your mind that you might be juggling 2 things. You might be doing 2 things. You might be trying to launch a side hustle while you're working something. So your professional life is still very much under construction later this year. All right. So Catherine, okay, got you. Thank you. Those of you guys who have not seen the podcast, it's a colorful one. Definitely check out the Midheaven podcast. I do it with myself and Mike, the Peace Stealer. We have a new episode every Monday. We just did one that was all about us talking about the 13th sign and that shenanigans. It's definitely a good time. All right, so this is general for you, Catherine. King of Pentacles reversed, 3 of Wands, and the Devil. Moving on from some either binding, difficult, challenging, maybe either financial or sexual dealings. So King of Pentacles and the Devil, I'm wondering, are you dealing with a Capricorn? Has there been like a man that's been really difficult or challenging that you've been dealing with, either in regards to business or finances? But this can be a Capricorn, a Virgo, or a Taurus. Now, when the King of Pentacles comes up reverse, if it's not a person, it can also be talking about just your relationship with work, business, finances, being a little bit blocked or feeling a little frustrated that things aren't progressing forward the way that you want them to. It's a gentle reminder that you can't push the river, that if you're either dealing with financial or business dealings where you're like being demanding, or you're feeling like very detached or very like direct, something's going on here. Oh, Virgo, okay. And does this Virgo have any connection at all to either an intimate relationship or a business relationship, or both? Because, you know, the Devil's business, King of Pentacles can be business, but I also see this like sexual kind of entanglement that's going on here, that's like somebody tempting you back, right? So it can be some sense of being like, are you sure you want to walk away? You don't want to come back? Like, I could make things very easy for you, right? And it comes with strings attached. So there is some sense of either Knowing that you could go back to them and you could physically have them, but it's not going to feel good. Knowing that you could work with them and they could provide, you know, some kind of business, but you're like, I don't know if I want to go back there. It almost feels like coming out of the grips of dealing with this person for some time. And, you know, the Three of Wands is an interesting card because it talks about finally getting out of that and being like, I'm not even considering that as an option anymore. I have already moved forward. So it can be almost like the slingshot effect. I don't know if you guys watching have had this, but it's like right when you give up on something, right when you finally, you know, decide that you're done with something that's toxic or not good for you, it's like the universe tests you, right? There's always like this test that comes. It's like, are you sure you're done? For me, it's always like, I'm on a diet. And then somebody goes, here, I made you these cookies. And I'm like, you know, it's always that for me. But there's some temptation where it's like right when you've been like, you know what, I'm better off moving forward and either finding someone new or working with someone new. I know that that's the direction that I need to go. I'm finally breaking free. This person might kind of pop up. They may come around, right? And from what I remember, you're a Leo rising. You have all that Scorpio in the 4th, right? And you're having these eclipses in Taurus. So for any Scorpio placement, the Taurus eclipses are going to bring up the themes of relationships, but it's relationships with people that you work with. Are you going to let them back in? Is it worth, you know, the paycheck? Is it worth exchanging that energy with that person? Are you going to fall back into those patterns, either romantically or professionally, of where they have some kind of control over you? So it's reminding you that stay the path of continuing walking forward, really focus on what's in front of you. If that person in any way, shape, or form comes around, makes an offer, tries to tempt you back in, be very mindful, be very careful that there are strings attached and that it could be a little bit of a trap. And that even if you do go back, it's like same old shit, right? King of Pentacles reversed and the devil is like, I've changed. And then you're around for a couple days and they're no different. Or I just want to do business with you. And then you're working with them again. And then you realize that there's some ulterior motives. Like you can't go back to that. And you're not going to go back to that because you've already started the process of moving forward. But I think that once that person sees either energetically or physically or professionally that you've moved on, there is a sense of them being like, oh, why don't you come back around? So watch out for that. Be careful. Full steam ahead. Keep moving forward. All right. We have got now... We got Mr. Romero. Katie Walker. Katie Walker says, your birthday is 6/7/92. Well, let's see. Oh, no, just kidding. It's for today. I was like, happy birthday. Your birthday is October 20th, 92. Okay. Is this the right time to initiate a conversation with my boss about a performance and review and raise? I have a lot of supporting evidence and I've been thinking about it for the last 2 to 3 months, but I haven't been able to feel entirely confident about timing. Well, Katie, one thing I'm going to tell you, you're right on that cusp of, you know, Libra, Scorpio, but technically Libra. There is a sense here, okay, with Mercury in a square to Saturn. Mercury for Libras are in the 8th house, okay? And it's squaring Saturn in the 5th. So Mercury, which is communication, meetings, Mercury in Taurus, which is about money, values, in a square to Saturn is what superiors give us. On one hand, the Mercury square Saturn right now is not ideal. Perhaps maybe when we start to see Mercury come out of the square and trine Pluto over the next couple days, yes. Another way to look at this is when Venus is coming into conjunction with Uranus. But it's a little dicey over the next like week or two because of these, you know, squares and things going on. So maybe if you want to go and look at when Venus comes into a trine with Saturn, that's not going to be closer to about mid-July. Personally, that's my preference. Oh, you're Gemini rising. Okay. But still, you know, with Mercury in a square to Saturn, it's like you're not going to get the results that you're hoping for, right? When Mercury comes into your sign and it starts coming into a trine with Saturn, or we start seeing like Venus come into a trine with Saturn, that would probably be a better time. That's going to be in the next month. But let's see what the cards say. And if your Saturn is in Aquarius too, having Mercury, your chart ruler, in a square to Saturn is like it's not going to be the results that you're hoping for, you know? You want to do like when Mercury is in a trine to your ascendant, or when Venus is in a trine to Saturn, or when Mercury's in a trine to Saturn. That's when you really want to do that stuff. 9 of Cups, 9 of Wands, King of Pentacles reversed. He makes a return. That nasty man. I mean, honestly, it's a timing thing. I mean, King of Pentacles can be a timing thing. It's like, oh, it's not the right time. And it's also talking about the importance of saying something when the resources are there, or saying something when the boss is in a good mood. Nine of Coins is like, Nine of Cups is talking about, you know, your wish. I'm hoping to get this. I hope to get this. In a lot of ways, that coming up in a spread is a really positive indication that you may actually end up getting your wish. But it may take a little bit of time for this to kind of pan out. Nine of Coins, Nine of Wands is like, I really want this, I deserve this, I've been working really hard. And I think maybe going at it in that direction and like approaching them, being like, this is everything that I've done, I've been working really hard, give me the raise. It may not settle well. I don't think that's how you're gonna do it, but I'm just letting you know right now. I noticed that you say you have a lot of supporting evidence and you've been thinking about this for the last 2 to 3 months. My advice, I'll give you the dates really quick for when Mercury's gonna trine Saturn. You're not gonna have to wait too long. You could do it right around July 1st, or you can wait till Venus trines Saturn. And that'll be around July 14th or 15th. Those are just better days in my opinion. Because I feel like you could catch, you know, the boss or the superior at a time where they're tight on their budget, or they're not capable of being able to sit down and give you the time, or they feel like the way that it came about is like you being like, I've done all this work, like give something to me. And you may not get the response that you're hoping for. And it makes sense that you're having Mercury going retrograde in your sign, dropping back into the 12th. It's more about thinking like my money and my resources and what I need, and like, you know, is this making sense? Am I getting paid my worth? But I would really wait for those transits. I feel like the King of Pentacles reverse could materialize as somebody being like, we don't have it in the budget right now, but we might later this year. We can't give this to you at this moment, but we can do that. Like they'll give you the recognition, but King of Pentacles reverse can be a little stingy, you know? There can be a sense of them not giving you everything that you're desiring, or watering down or taking away from how hard that you've been working, right? So I would say consider going at it during one of these time periods, because it might be better. And also listen to what they're talking about when they're saying something in regards to like budgeting, what they're paying other people, what they have in the budget. I get the impression that it may take until later in the year for this to fully kind of pan out. Because I do think that after, you know, 9 weeks, the 9th month, something like that can be in the fall, that there is this turning point, and then you're like, okay, things are actually kind of coming together. You've also got a new moon coming that's going to be in Cancer, and it's going to be in your 2nd house here pretty soon. And that new moon is going to be in a square to Jupiter. That'll be in Aries in your 11th. So that's another time to set, you know, goals revolving around money and resources, and what your goals are revolving around what you want to achieve. So that's also kind of lining up right around the time that you would be a better time to kind of reach out to them. But that new moon can take a full, you know, 6-month period to kind of fully shake out. And then you see when you have the full moon in Cancer later at the end of the year, maybe you didn't get the full, you know, raise that you were hoping for, but you get it later in the year. So something can take about 6 months to kind of fully evolve. And make sure if you're going to hit the boss up, do it at a time where that person has the time, they're not stressed, they're open, and they're going to be more receptive to what you're saying. And I would say go at it more in the direction of, this is what I've been working really hard on, this is what I'm doing, you know, I wanted to talk to you about the possibility of this. I wouldn't go at it from the whole, these are all the reasons why I deserve this, because it might kind of rub somebody the wrong way. Just a tip. Hopefully that's helpful. Hey Kayla, I got your payment, don't worry. So we've got Michelle, Amber, Haiti, Boxwood, Stephanie, Kayla, Brandon, Concha, Olivia, and Skinnacat Communications. Who is that? Who is that? And then we've also got the 2 super chats. Let me come over to the super chat really quick. Nuri. What's going on, Nuri? What is your question? I'm looking to see if you sent it. And then I've got Kirsten. Nuri, let me know unless you want a general. We're going to call final call in 10 minutes because there is still quite a few people. So once 8 o'clock hits, we're not going to be taking any more donations. You're going to have to wait a whole 4 days until Saturday where you can see me do astrology. Nuri, let us know if you have a specific question. Otherwise, I can give you a general. I'll take Kirsten's question really quick. You're amazing. All your content has been so helpful. Thank you. I love a card about my business. I feel like I'm grinding my life away. Should I incorporate Reiki astrology to create more abundance? Good question. Let's see what the what the tarot says, and then when Nuri gets back to me, I'll pull a card. So this is, you know, should you incorporate other elements? This is a very positive card. Isn't your moon in Gemini? From what I remember, I think. Or was that your Venus? Okay. Thanks, Nuri. Got you. Thank you. Kirsten, Lover's card, it's saying it's less about what you're incorporating, it's what you're more passionate about, right? Does that make sense? And I remember you have some Gemini placement. I can't remember if it's your moon in Gemini or if it is your Venus, but it can't be your Venus because we're born 3 days apart. So choices, options, duality, doubles, right? So it's something that is going to be complementary. So if you're like, hey, I'm doing all of this work with crystals and crystal jewelry, what else can I do to complement that? It's going to be complementary. Now, Gemini rules the hands, so it can be things that are Reiki infused. That's definitely something that's possible. But I think about this in relation to creativity. Like, what are you creating, right? What do you want to create? What feels good? Perhaps maybe it's something that you physically make with your hands. So if you're deciding that you want to infuse stuff, if you want to do hands-on healing, if it makes sense for you to be hand selecting and curating and creating things for people as well, that could be something else that you could do. So you could sit down and do like gemstone consultations, or maybe there's a way for you to work with cards and then be like, okay, so this is what I'm seeing. So these are the stones that I would recommend based off of this like general reading that we kind of did. If you want to work with tarot cards, if you want to work with an oracle deck, I wonder, just knowing some of your placements, if there is a way to start doing like gemstone readings or crystal readings. Like, what if you took some of those like a small sack of like stones, and then, you know, you were to talk to somebody and hear what their question was or what their situation was, and then you were to take the gemstones and toss them out, and then you could read them. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like that would work for your Gemini moon. And being able to look at the way that they fell and kind of scry them and then be like, okay, well, this means this and this means that. I don't know. I don't know if it's a form of divination that you integrate. I don't know if you start creating products that are Reiki infused. But certainly this is the element of air. So it's about communicating, receiving information. It can be about divination. It can be about something that you're making, that you're creating, but it has to complement something you're already doing. So it is either going to be Reiki infused crystals and products that you're making, or somehow adding some form of divination into this. I know that you also said, what did you say here? Or astrology. So, you know, the Lovers, once again, is talking about what is it that is going to be complementary that you love. The card on the bottom of the deck is the 5 of Wands. So maybe perhaps it's more about feeling like something that comes naturally that you enjoy doing, rather than feeling like you have to just grind and force things out, right? Just know a lot of this is your astrology right now. The grinding of the gears is the Saturn-Uranus squares that are kind of going on. So if you are experiencing in any way, shape, or form this feeling of like, I just can't keep doing what I'm doing all the time, I need to do something else, other line or streams of income coming in from things that are labors of love are things that you want to do. And it can also be something you do with another person. So that's something else I would say, is that Lovers card talks about, do you collaborate with another person? Do you bring other people in some capacity to be able to kind of do this new thing? Right now, in the midst of this retrograde that you have been having in, you know, Taurus and also in Gemini, when it's coming back into your 5th house, it's going to help you start, you know, trying out new little hobbies and like seeing what you like. And what sticks and what's actually working for you and what you enjoy doing. And I would say when that starts coming into the trines with Saturn, like I said, those dates in July, when it starts trining Saturn, and we also start seeing Venus trine Saturn, things are going to kind of start to stick more for you. So leave the options open, maybe try a little bit of 2 different things and see which one works best for you. And then you can decide down the road which one is actually bringing you more like fulfillment, which one you love more. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay, Nuri says, when am I supposed to move? All right, let's look. This one. Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is talking about taking action and taking action soon, like very quickly, fire months. So it can be talking about Leo season, July going into August. It can also be talking about November going into December. But Queen of Wands is talking about either waiting on another specific person, or it's talking about you listening to your intuition, knowing when it's time to go. I always connect the Queen of Wands to summertime. You know, she's got sunflowers, she's got all these warm colors. It's definitely very like Leo, lioness energy. So if people are asking me about timing, whenever I pull like the Queen of Wands, the King of Wands, the Ace of Wands, generally that's going to be something that's taking place over summertime. So this tells me you already kind of feel, or you might have an intuition that's like, I know I'm moving, or I know I need to move, or I feel like I'm going to be moving soon. And it's about tuning into that and knowing that that's going to be coming, but you have some control over it. It's not like a situation where, oh, I'm finding out I'm being forced to move. The Queen of Wands is like actually taking action and getting everything in order and like really bringing things together to create movement, and movement that feels positive, it feels empowering, or it feels like it's happening very quickly. You can find that there can be assistance coming from a fire sign woman if you are not one. So for an Aries or a Leo or a Sagittarius can be coming in and actually helping you with the process of being able to move. Yeah, no, here's the thing. You're going to find something, because what I love about this card, I think, is the black cat. That's basically saying that your intuition is telling you that it's coming, and it's helping you kind of prepare, working with the element of fire. So like sitting and you know, writing out your intentions, burning a candle, burning a tea light, whatever, can help get the momentum going, and it can help bring that in. This can also be, for me personally, like anytime I've moved, this is like a little magic trick that's always worked for me. I always sit down and I will make a list of like all of the things that I need within the home, the non-negotiable, right? So it's like, it's gotta have AC, it's gotta have a yard, whatever your non-negotiables are, the price point, whatever, write it all out. And then even if you don't consider yourself a really excellent artist, sit down and actually sketch out things that you would want within that home. This is something I've done with every move that I've had. I always set the intention. I do that, and like clockwork, within a couple of weeks' time, something pops up. But I would say this is about you using your energy to kind of get things moving, and using your foresight and your intuition to bring it up. But I would be surprised if you're not moving by the end of summer, honestly. Could be happening July, could be happening August, but this is definitely something that's coming very quickly. And look for women who might have red hair or just kind of like rosier skin tone that show up to kind of help you. It could be people who are leasing places, somebody who says, oh, I'm moving, a woman that you meet that might have some of these features that you end up kind of connecting with, and then you find a place to live. But you're going places. You are definitely moving. All right, so I'm just updating this. Amiko, yes, I got it. Rosa Perez, I got it. And Niall, I got that. Thank you, guys. Those of you guys who are just tuning in, you get a reading. We're calling last call in 2 minutes. You can scan the QR code. You can get in on the queue to make sure that you get your reading. Okay, so we've got Michelle. What's up, Michelle? Hopefully you're doing well. Let's take a look. All right, so Michelle says, I'd love a 3-card reading. I've been seeing an Aquarius, but it's kind of come up that he's not looking for anything serious, which we were supposed to talk about more in depth when we hang out next. I'm questioning if I should continue to see him and keep it casual and have fun, or if it will only upset me and mess with my energy and bring me down unnecessarily. And if I should just completely stop seeing him. Let's take a look. So she is seeing this Aquarius. He doesn't know what he wants. Should she stay with him? They're going to talk more in depth. Do we keep it casual, or is it going to block her energy? That card keeps jumping out at me. Okay, so let's see what the cards say. Ace of Swords reversed, Wheel of Fortune reversed, Two of Coins. Well, it's a good thing I pulled this final card that I kept seeing. Here's the deal, okay? And you know, sometimes people say this and they change their mind. But I feel intuitively looking at this that it's like he said that and that was like the nail in the coffin for you, because you're like, wait a second, we're just now starting to see each other and we're getting to know each other and you're already kind of like putting the kibosh on it. Like, what? Ace of Swords reverse for me is my true nail in the coffin card. That's my true death card. You know, I'm not somebody who's like wild about telling people like, oh, this is definitively not going to work, or like, yes, somebody is definitively going to pass. But Ace of Swords is saying like, it's dead in the water, you know? And it can also be about a conversation that you had with him where he was like, no, absolutely not looking for it, you know, whatever. That really either put you off or it made you feel like, well, then what are we doing here? What's the point, right? Now, this is in the past, so this is kind of saying like things were already said, harsh things were already said that made you feel like, wow, well then what are we doing here? The Wheel of Fortune coming up reversed is saying that sometimes fortune swings up, sometimes it swings down. And Wheel of Fortune is saying there are fortunate events taking place, like meeting each other, and maybe it is fortunate if he really isn't looking for something serious. He's telling you now before you get entirely too invested. But the Wheel of Fortune reverse is also saying that count your blessings, because it's actually like a blessing in disguise that he's letting you know, so you're not getting too attached to him. And so you're keeping your options open, because Two of Coins is like, I can juggle both, right? I can see him and I can remain open. I can see him and meet another person. And if I meet somebody who's, you know, all there and ready to go, then I can, you know, kind of move on to the next thing. I would say be very careful getting attached to this person, because I feel like the Ace of Swords reversed already kind of shows you that he went into it closed off. And there's some pain there, there's some hurt there. It's not just somebody who's looking to screw around, it's somebody whose mindset is literally not open to the idea of commitment or love, because I think he's still trying to decide whether or not that's something that he's capable of participating in right now. He may not be communicating all of this, but it's not coming from a selfish place, it's coming from a place because he doesn't know if he is potentially going to hurt another person because he doesn't know what he wants. And so, you know, I'd be mindful of that mindset. I think the Ace of Swords mindset, when it's reversed, is a little iffy, because it can be somebody who, no matter how much you try to advance with intimacy or getting to know them or kind of trying to talk to them, they're closed off. They're going to keep being like this, you know? And yes, Saturn is still in the same sign as your Venus. It's past your Venus. It's also past your moon, but it's still in that same sign. So you're going to be feeling the effects of Moon, Venus, Saturn conjunctions, where you're dealing with karmic issues with partners, right? Because Saturn also rules your 8th house of other people's resources, where they don't have a lot of self-esteem, or they're having financial issues, or they're just not opening up, or they're not willing to kind of include another person. So you're still kind of feeling the karmic effects of this. I do feel like you're going to give it about 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 months max, just to kind of feel this out and see if he kind of opens up and if he comes around a little bit. This card kept jumping out at me, the Nine of Swords, and I think it's basically saying in so many ways, rather than being stressed out, being like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Is he going to stay with me? Is there other people? Is he going to be open to us being together? Is he going to cut me off? It's like trying to alleviate this anxiety, and it's trying to kind of let you know, hey, consider this a blessing that he let you know that he's not really looking for anything serious, so you don't get entirely too attached, and you're not losing sleep over it. So you're not investing another couple of weeks or couple of months being like, oh, hopefully this is going somewhere, and it's not going somewhere. That it's a blessing. And I think Two of Coins is also saying that you're willing to kind of stay with it for a little bit to see maybe if he like softens and he opens up. Just knowing Aquarius astrology right now in general, I mean, you know, they've got Saturn in their sign, and they've got eclipses that are going on in their 10th house, where they're letting go of old career stuff. They're walking away from old responsibilities. They're moving more in the direction of living in new places, wanting to be independent, wanting to be around new people. And the idea of settling into a relationship and things like that, it's not, for a lot of Aquarians, it's not easy right now. So I think that I would be more concerned about the fact that he's kind of shutting things down mentally and verbally before you guys are even really getting a chance, because that's showing you that that's somebody who's not open and vulnerable to love. Like, I'm a big believer that unless you're willing to like get hurt, like you're not really worthy of playing the game, right? You can't get in and be like, okay, I'm only gonna let you in so far. That's why we have the culture that we have, where we have hookup culture. You got a bunch of people that are having sex with each other, but nobody's really building intimacy, and everybody wants to complain that nobody wants to commit and that nobody wants to go the distance in relationships, primarily because you've got a bunch of people who are like acting, you know, physical with each other, and they're not building intimacy out of anything more than just physical connection. So I would say with this, it's a big warning for me that he's telling you point blank, I don't know if I'm ready, and he's holding back and communicating the fact that I think it's probably that he's afraid to hurt somebody because he's playing with a new sense of freedom maybe. I don't know if he broke up with somebody recently. I don't know if he moved out recently, or he's giving himself a break from work or whatever, and he wants to just be. But stay open to other things that come around, and don't lose any sleep over this. And like, I've just learned after dealing with enough of them and talking to people for a living, generally, okay, outside of like the occasional fuckboys, and they're out there, men are very simple creatures. They're just going to tell you straight up like what's going on. And if they're like, hey, it's not going to work, or I'm not going to do this, like take whatever they're saying like at face value. If he's telling you point blank, hey, I'm not ready for commitment, I'd be like, okay, great, awesome. Then you're not going to reap all the benefits of having me as like a girlfriend when you just want to fuck around. So maybe I'll be around, maybe I won't. And I think maybe being that way, letting him know, hey, it's not just me waiting to see if you're ready. It's like I'm going to keep my options open. It's okay to communicate that, not to be hurtful, but just to clear the air and kind of like let him know. And I don't want to see you stressing out over whether or not he's going to be ready, because honestly, to me, the situation looks like it's a little bit of a mess. Fresh breakup. There you go. You can't have your cake and eat it too, right? You can't have your cake and eat it too. Let me know how it goes. Looks like it's going to be about a 2-month ordeal. Don't take any shit. Hopefully it goes well. Oh boy. Okay, so it looks like we got everybody on the super chat. Let's go on to the PayPal. So we have closed everything down for the donations for the night. So if you got in, you got in, you're good. Amber. What's up, Amber? Ambi. I've been struggling the last few days after feeling like I was figuring things out. What do I need to know for my highest and best to release what is holding me back and work through this struggle? Great question. Two of Swords, Knight of Swords, the Magician. What a cool combination. You create your own reality, you know? This to me makes me feel like you're sitting on a decision, or whether or not you say something, or whether or not you break from something. I mean, just kind of going through your message, you know, releasing what's holding you back. I've been struggling the last few days, feeling like you're figuring things out. I mean, Two of Swords is saying that you're meant to be in that space of reevaluating, adjusting, thinking about things, not making any decisions, just reviewing and reflecting. Knight of Swords and the Magician is totally different energy. It's quick moving. It's positive. It's about manifesting. It's changing the energy. Work with the energy or the element of air. Chimes, bells, incense, like smudging yourself or anything like that. Vibrational therapy can be helpful too. So if you want to listen to some binaural beats to kind of get all the funk off of you, that can be really helpful. But this tells me that once you've come out of this period of feeling kind of stuck and not knowing what direction you're going in, you're going to leap into action. You're going to make a decision, or you're going to make a call. You're going to say something. So I don't know if you're holding back and having a conversation. I don't know if you're holding back and telling somebody what you really think or how you really feel, or whether or not you're going to run. Okay, because like, you know, knights are dedicated to their cause. They get on their horse, they run it in battle. The Knight of Swords can be iffy with communication, so you want to be careful of how you come across. It doesn't want to be this thing where you're holding back and then boom, you know, the floodgates open and then you say everything, and it can be too much all at one time and it can be too aggressive. This can be about having a conversation, sending an email, sending a text message, calling somebody. And the magician is what is changing, what's transforming. And oftentimes it's for the better. So this is more about what you're changing and what you're shifting rather than other people. This makes me feel like it's about invocations, like powerful invocations where you're calling on certain guides or deities, or you're calling on your higher self and asking for clarity, right? A clarity candle can be good too, like a yellow candle. And you can burn it with a little bit of like lemon oil, or you can do like lemon peel. You can add like a pinch of salt or anything that's going to help kind of clear and open everything up for you. Because to me, it seems like it's become very blatantly clear what the plan is, and it's not about what somebody else is doing, it's about what you're doing. And the magician is talking about changing and transforming the energy. I just told someone I wasn't going to get into a relationship with someone who isn't being fully honest. Boom, there you go. Also, the magician can go one of two ways. The magician can be somebody who is like you, that's creating your own reality, but it can also be smoke and mirrors that's coming from another person. So the magician doesn't always mean that it's somebody who's dishonest, but it can be about you dealing with somebody who's they can be kind of slimy, right? They can kind of like slide through your fingers and you're like, I don't know if I can hold on to this situation. Like it seems like they're kind of unobtainable. And right when you think they're doing this, they're doing that. And when they look left, you look right. If you've got that feeling like somebody was doing that and they weren't being completely forthcoming with you, and if you said point blank, hey, I've thought about it, I'm good, great. I know that that's difficult. I know it maybe took a lot of like guts to say what you had to say, especially if you felt like you didn't want to get into why you felt like they weren't being honest or what proof you have. You may have felt like it's a little bit more aggressive than how you usually would handle things, especially if you kind of dealt with it head on rather than just kind of like letting it skate by. But I think you made the right decision, and the magician is saying now that there is some like energetic shift and leveling up going on, as above, so below. So this can also be a reflection of the fact that you are so in tune to your intuition, or you're so in tune to what your gut is telling you, that it's finally now starting to kind of come out in the third dimension, and you're learning to trust it more, right? But this is also going to give like a leveling up effect for you, where you're going to start to realize that it's okay to send stuff back to the kitchen. I always use that term all the time. If it's like, it's got to be this or better, right? Send it back to the kitchen, because the universe will be like, okay, well, how about this, right? So when you have these high standards and these low expectations, you're less likely to kind of get affected by the fact that, you know, you're saying, oh, this isn't good enough, this isn't working. But yeah, there could have been a sense of you seeing through the bullshit. And if you said what you had to say after a period of kind of sitting back and going like, it's probably better that you did it sooner rather than later, especially if the magician's coming up in the final card placement. It's kind of saying like you caught it ahead of the curve before you had some issues down the road where you were more fully entangled with somebody, and it would have been more difficult to kind of get out. Good on you, sending you lots of love. Hopefully that gets easier. It's never easy breaking things off with people. It's been a really difficult retrograde period for a lot of people. A lot of issues with communication, delays. We've got Haiti. Haiti says, the man that I thought was the love of my life recently stopped communicating and will not talk to me. I'm in the middle of a divorce with my ex-spouse who's still living with me, and my new guy did not like that. The new relationship with the man in question is a Taurus, and I'm a Capricorn. I feel like it's over because he went radio silent and will not talk to me or text me at all. I just want to know the outlook of or why this happened. Are we meant to be? Do we have a chance? Any help is appreciated. Thank you, and please accept this tip. Thank you. I'm a Cap Sun, Aries rising, Gemini moon. So Mercury's been going retrograde back and forth over your moon. Kind of has you in your feelings, being that you're an Aries rising. You got Jupiter, you got Mars and Chiron, you know, moving through your first house. So it's a little bit of like Lone Ranger, going your own way. I will tell you, you still have some Mercury-Venus trines that are going to be going on. And also Mercury retrograde in your 7th later this year. So lots of opportunities during the retrograde, if you're an Aries rising. During the retrogrades, whether it's the Mars retrograde, the Mercury retrograde, these are all points of time where communication gets a little weird, but you can redirect that energy and you can have more powerful conversations, especially because you're a Cap Sun. So that's going to give you the power to kind of oversee what is happening. So let's see what's going on with this guy who stopped talking to you. He didn't like the fact that you're living with your ex. And we need to see what's happening here. He's a Taurus and you're a Capricorn. Well, those Taurus men, they get a little jealous. They get a little possessive. I'm not generalizing. I've never met a Taurus that didn't say, that's mine, about something, whether it's food or a woman. So let's see what the deal is. He's a Taurus sun, Leo rising. You know what's going on. He's, you know, he's got a Saturn that is hanging out in his 7th house, and it is squaring Uranus in his 4th, and also the node. So, you know, he's going through lots of changes too. So he's not going to adjust well to some of these shifts that are going on with relationships and home and all that stuff. There's that Knight of Swords again. There's that 3 of Swords. Man, he got his feelings hurt. I have a question for you. Did you not tell him that you were living with your ex, or did it just not come up? Was he under the impression that you were living on your own? Was there something that was left out here? You know, Knight of Swords, 3 of Swords is like somebody who acts out, and they act out very immaturely and harshly, or they can say things that are hurtful. I think in many ways, obviously it sucks to have somebody who ghosts and doesn't communicate and doesn't talk to you. I hate that. But this makes me feel like he's doing this because he's either so hurt or so angry that it could have been more on the extreme end of him saying a bunch of things that he can't take back, right? But he's definitely got his feelings hurt, because the Knight of Swords coming up with the 3 of Swords is literally talking about him feeling like, you know, I'm hurt that, you know, you're telling me this, or I'm hurt that you could even bring this up to me, or that you're saying this and you're not taking action. Like, he took it kind of personally, obviously. 3 of Swords is literally about heartbreak. And I think that maybe there's some miscommunication or some communication breakdown, where he feels like if you were really moving on, or if you were really moving forward, or if you were really open to being in a relationship, these things wouldn't be talked about, because I think he's more either upset that he didn't know this in the beginning, or he's more upset that you would even bring it up in front of him. You know, 9 of Coins reversed is talking about you doing your best, if at all possible, to manage on your own and kind of take care of yourself. You might be feeling like you're really kind of in no man's land right now, where you're like, I'm in between this other relationship. I've got this guy who won't call me back. But 9 of Coins reversed is talking more about not feeling secure, like not feeling good on your own, or kind of feeling like you don't have anybody to fall back on, and you taking it personally, the fact that he's you know, not available and not communicating with you. I don't know what the deal is, but to me this seems like, I don't know if you were like, yeah, I'm separated, or I'm in the process of getting a divorce, but you didn't tell him you were still living together. There's some sense of him getting the impression that there was more independence here, because the 9 of Coins is very independent. So I don't know if you want to like expand on that, but there's something kind of going on here that makes me feel like he didn't realize you were that entangled with this other person. And the Knight of Swords and the 3 of Swords, like I said, he's hurt, but I feel like he could have said something that could have been very damaging. And Tauruses kind of do have a tendency to hold a grudge. They can have a tendency to kind of pout a little bit, especially looking at some of his placements. He's got a lot of Venus energy, Taurus Sun, Leo Rising, Libra Moon. So the Libra Moon being in the 3rd house, it's possible that through the Mercury retrograde coming in the fall, there can be opportunities for somebody to reach back out and be like, they're gone, he's moved, whatever. Like that can allow you guys to communicate a little bit better. But yeah, you know, Leo risings are having a really difficult time with Saturn in their 7th, because they're feeling like relationships are at a distance. And still, for a Leo rising chart, you know, the transits in July and August are going to kind of set up as possibly a separation, and they'll use that excuse because they need more independence, or because of a living situation. So just be warned that he may still be kind of carrying this around. Even if you guys end up talking again, he may still be really hurt, and this might come back to kind of bite you in the ass. And he'll use your living situation or whatever against you, and it can still leave you kind of feeling high and dry with the Queen of Coins reversed. But this is also putting an emphasis on, and this is the case for all Aries placements right now, especially Aries rising, independence, right? Being more independent, not feeling like you need to be reliant on other people, or not feeling like you have to live with other people, or that you owe anybody anything else. It's painful right now with Mars and Chiron in your first house. I think Jupiter is helping kind of expand into, well, what am I learning about myself, and how can I become like more independent so that way I'm not relying on others. I do think you'll hear from him again, but just be mindful that he can be extremely touchy and extremely sensitive. And right now he's still hurting. Look for increments of 3, so it can take 3 more days, 3 weeks, something like that before you guys end up talking. But when you do talk to him, don't play it cool, because I could see there could be a sense of you being like, I'm good, I'm fine, like I was fine, like I didn't hear from you, I didn't need you. Don't do that, because that can definitely come up with the 9 of Coins reversed. And I would say very specifically, it's very important for you to be reflecting on what you feel like you do need for security, and be willing to kind of communicate and express that to him, and hash out any misunderstandings if for whatever reason he thought that you were single and independent on your own, because there seems to be some miscommunications here. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful. I do think you'll talk to him again. Good luck. You do have a chance, but you guys got to be forthcoming with each other. Thank you, Maui. I appreciate it. Let's see. Did you send a super chat? No. Maui, what is your name on PayPal? If you guys made a PayPal donation, just let me know if your name differs versus your name on YouTube. That's helpful. All right, so that was Haiti. So now we're going to get into Boxwood and Rose. 1 card reading. Advice from me on making more money in my business this year. Okay, Jack, February 8th, 1990, all the way from the UK. All right. So this is going to be for you. Advice for making more money from your business this year. Well, my advice would be breaking out of feeling stuck. And this is more mental limitations. This can be stuff like, oh, I can only, handle so much, or I only know so much, right? I'm only capable of doing so much. The 8 of Swords is about feeling like you're being mentally put in a box, like not knowing enough, right? Not feeling like you're able to expand. Is there fear of expansion, expanding your business, expanding your brand? If you make products, if there's anything like that that you do, I don't know. I'm just looking at Boxwood and Rose. I don't know if that's your business name. But this is getting out of your own way mentally and breaking down the limitations that you feel like you have. This can also be feeling like your hands are tied, where you're like, okay, I'm tied financially. I can only afford so much. I can only invest so much. And it's about getting into the mindset of being open. Because if you look at this card, like, her eyes are blindfolded, the body's wrapped up. But if she were to take the blindfold off, she can like break out of that, and she's going to have more freedom. And then she'll realize that, oh, this was only like a fear. I think it's fear of expansion, to be honest with you. This card comes up a lot when I'm dealing with people who are like, what do I do? How do I bring in more? And 8s can also deal with give and take. So it can be the fear of not being successful, the fear of something not selling, the fear of whether or not you're going to be able to bankroll or finance things. So this is also about the give and take and the energetic exchange. Can be a really, really great time to be like listening to some like Esther Hicks and like getting into the vortex and like being open to like what's coming in, because it's all about the mindset with this. I would also say it's about maybe getting outside of the box and not thinking about things so practically, thinking about things more in a sense of what scares you and what big goals do you have and what steps can you take to be able to achieve some of those bigger goals. Right now, though, it kind of seems like you're a little frustrated, or you're feeling a little limited in terms of either business, ideas, space, being able to kind of branch out and do things different. And I would say getting into a routine habit of maybe making a list of all the things that you're afraid of and working through them, especially when it comes to being able to just expand in general. So work through those fears, remain open, stay open to what is possible, and start addressing all of the things that are limiting you or holding you back. Like something I like to do as an exercise for myself if I'm really dealing with something. And it helps to have somebody to talk through this with you, but sometimes I'll be like, okay, like I'm afraid of doing this thing, and I'll literally make like a little like they teach you in like middle school, like the webs, you know, this is the problem, this is the fear. Where does that come from? Well, it's coming from this. Okay, how do we solve this solution so that way we're kind of removing some of the blocks? Work it out like a problem that you would solve, right? Like an algebra equation. Because right now it seems like you've got yourself backed up into a corner where you're like, oh, I don't know, I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't do this. There's too many negative thoughts that are going on that's hindering you from being able to see an exit strategy or a way to be able to kind of build into something new. Work with the element of air. It can be really helpful for you. Combat fear. I like that book, Big Magic. If any of you guys read that, it's so awesome. The same chick who wrote Eat, Love, Pray. That was a book that was like a real turning point for me a couple years ago for some other creative projects that I started doing, and it kind of gave me the forward push that I needed to start kind of getting outside of my comfort zone. All right, thank you, Maui. Thanks, Brenda. Hi, fellow Scorpio, what's going on? All right, so next up we've got Stephanie Todman. Stephanie says, working on becoming a content creator and a digital marketer. I want to know, how soon will I be able to go full time? Let's take a look. All right, so Stephanie's going big. Content creator and digital marketer. What's the timeline look like for her going full time? Ooh, well, it does look like it's gonna work. I don't know what timeline you have set for yourself. I will tell you a couple of things. End of August, I feel like you're gonna see a turning point, but you wanna see some real consistency, some solid numbers. Keep track, because there can be a sense of you not keeping track of things very well, where you're like, I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do that. And if you have a couple different projects working at one time, you may not know when all of them are gonna complete and when they're gonna hit. I get the impression closer to about September, October is when things are going to kind of come full circle for you. Strength reverse is saying like you can't force it, you can't push it. Putting a time limit on it in a way is almost going to put added pressure on this. It's going to make it more difficult for you to stay on task. I also feel like there is a sense of you needing to be gentle with yourself, so you're allowing enough space for creativity. So you're not feeling like you're burdened by all of these different projects and these different timelines, and that you're pushing yourself to hit a goal and you're just pushing the creative process. Like you don't want to rush that, you know? But you might start seeing right around the end of August is when you're like, okay, you know, I think that I can actually do this and things are changing, but it's saying to be gentle with the creative process and really like getting into the flow of enjoying it, so that way you can make the jump. Seven of Cups is saying that there's way too many options on the table. Like certainly you could take a bunch of projects at once and you could justify being able to do this full time, but you want to really feel it out. So I don't know if this is something that you're doing that's newer, or you're just getting a flow for, well, how many clients can I manage and how many campaigns can I do at one time? And if I throw everything at the wall to see what sticks, do I get overwhelmed, right? Be careful for burnout. I think with the Strength card reverse and the Seven of Cups is like, doing it all at one time and being like, oh, I thought I needed to do this to hit this timeline. And now I'm realizing like I'm just overwhelmed, and having too many options or too many things that are going on at one time. And then we've got Nine of Coins coming up, which is a positive card, which is saying like, you can do it well, it'll pay the bills, it'll pay off, but you're looking at it taking a couple of months. Taking time off work to concentrate on it, awesome. Well, I mean, that's good, because honestly with the Seven of Cups, I was gonna say like, if you're trying to do two things at one time, it can become very overwhelming. Like if you're trying to do like a full-time job and you're doing this on the side, you're gonna like lose your cool. So this is also about focusing in on things and being able to create ideas that can branch out. So I wonder if this is also gonna be not just content creating, but coming up with like actual like like layouts and things. So if you're like creating campaigns, like could you go and use those campaigns again? Like if you were to create one for a particular type of business, do you save that template and do you go and just fill it in when you have other clients? I don't know if that makes sense, but this is saying getting creative with the process, but not getting overwhelmed. Yeah, structure. And Seven of Cups does not have a lot of structure. It's just like throwing things at the wall. It's going to take you some time, and I would say really focus on quality over quantity, because I think sometimes with Seven of Cups, I see people try to do too much at one time, and then they get overwhelmed and they don't know how to keep up with it. Something about the structure, though, with that Nine of Coins is like it's making me feel like you could offer different packages where you're like, this is how much I would charge to make X amount of posts and manage your media per week, and you can have all of these different options. It could also be that you have different campaign lengths or styles that you're doing, so that way you almost have like a menu because you want people to select. Or you could also do something like a consultation where you sit down and you look at somebody's business and you kind of tell them, you know, tell me what you're feeling, what do you want to create, and I'm going to tell you, you know, what I could do for you and then what it's going to cost. Have fun with it, be creative, right? That's what so much about the North Node in Taurus is right now. It's that people need to feel good about the way that they're making money. We need to be doing it in a way that's really allowing us to be naturally, you know, creative and artistic, and be experiencing pleasure in the way that we're bringing in an income. It's going to pan out well. September, October is when it's looking like it's going to be a little bit easier. It might get kind of crazy here between now and August, though, so careful with taking on too much at one time. Kayla. I've got Kayla. Forgive me because I have to scroll back and see what your question was. Let's see. I feel I've cleared so much karma surrounding relationships. My North Node of the 7th will be this year, and I come in. Will this be the year I come into union? I was married once at 24, not my son's father. Very karmic, feels the same. Well, North Node in the 7th can definitely bring some very fated encounters with people. Those eclipses can bring it in. Conjunctions to the North Node can bring it in. You're a Libra rising, so look at your natal Mars placement and where your natal Mars is, sign and house. That's going to give you a little bit more of an idea of the kind of relationships that are coming. All right, so what has been going on? What has been clearing for her? Is this going to be a year of union for Kayla? Ooh, I want that one. Okay. I like how I pulled 4 cards. That's what they wanted. Page of Pentacles reversed. Strength reversed. Ace of Cups. 2 of Wands reversed. Yeah, that sounds very much like the Saturn transits. So you get the Page of Pentacles reversed, which is like being cautious about who you jump into relationships with, or really taking your time. P.S. the 7th house in your chart can also be talking about your second child. So I don't know if you only have one kid, but sometimes when you have transits in the 7th house or eclipses or whatever, it can produce a second child, not just relationships. But Page of Pentacles reversed is like not knowing what you want to invest your time or your energy into, taking your time and like not wanting to just carelessly start things. It can also talk about false starts of sorts. So it's kind of like you going like, I've been in some of these situations before, I'm not doing it again. And being careful where you're investing your time or your energy or your resources. Strength reversed in the Ace of Cups is kind of funny because Strength is a card where we, like I said, we just come up. We can't push the process. We can't force the process. Strength reversed talks about inner strength. It also talks about this feeling of like doing a lot of inner healing, especially relating to like father figures, your inner child, anything like that. Like anything that comes along, it has to feel like it's just organic and it's natural. It cannot be forced. Ace of Cups, though, is insinuating that there is new love on the horizon, new relationships on the horizon. Look for somebody who may have a combination of earth and fire, or look for somebody who has like some prominent like Leo and like Virgo or Taurus or Capricorn placement. Like they might have that in their big 3. I have a feeling also it's possible that you might meet somebody else who also has a child, or somebody else who is fixated on the idea of having children or is open to the idea of having adopted children, because Strength card deals with kids. The Ace of Cups can deal with like this nurturing and this caring energy, and the Page is a younger person. It can also be about you looking at things going like, I would commit to somebody if it was somebody who wants to be a stepdad, if it's somebody who really wants to invest in the idea of family, or somebody who really does want to have another child, or maybe they want to blend families, because it seems like you're not just considering your heart and you're not just considering your personal life, you're also considering your kid. Then I see Two of Wands reversed, which is like you kind of saying like, I don't really know if it's with the person that I'm with now. Like, I don't know if it's going to be that person. Like, it's hard for me to be able to see the forest through the trees. Is it going to be this, or is it going to be someone else? I mean, you know, for the most part, Libra risings, I think having Jupiter in the 7th house is a bit of a blessing. It's showing us that there is a new opportunity for relationships, and that relationships are going to increase. And we're also going to see that there is more support coming from partners. Jupiter in Aries in the 7th is like partners who start kind of really showing up for you. I'll fix this, I'll build this, I'll do that, and they'll protect you and defend you in some way when you need it. But I think with the Two of Wands is it's saying like the jury's still out. Like, there still is a possibility, you know, it will retrograde back into Pisces, that there can be other people who can come later next year in the spring, right? I've been getting a feeling I'll have a second child, but I'm not sure. Yeah. So you want to look at when Jupiter fully goes into your 7th house, and possibly when it's sextiling your planets that you have in Aquarius. So certainly the birth of your first child for anybody is a big deal, but when you have personal hitting, hard hitting planets like a sun or a moon or whatever in Aquarius, Saturn's there right now. So you're really focused on the love that you give your current kid, your dating situation now, and you may be talking more about, you know, the future and other kids in general. For those of you guys who are like, I have a Libra rising, I've got Aquarius placements, I don't have a kid, it doesn't always have to be a child. In many cases, your first kid can be like a labor of love, a project, a business. Like, I had these transits a long time ago that went through my 5th house, and I knew I was supposed to have a kid, and I was like, nope, and it ended up being my business. So now that the transits are kind of hovering in my 5th and they're sextiling my 7th, it's like, okay, I could see how it could actually materialize as like a physical kid, but it's still kind of dealing with the 5th house stuff. So whether you have a kid or not, these transits right now are trying to kind of say, finish up your responsibilities that you have to the first one, or to the people that you're dating. Make sure that it feels good. Make sure that it's like genuine before you move on to the next relationship. So it wants you to think long and hard about who you're with now. You know, are you happy with the person that you're with now? Could you see yourself marrying them? Could it be more? Things like that, you know? And I think that you're going to be making some big decisions about this somewhere closer to the end of summertime. And as you go into this next year, especially spring of next year is when it's looking a little bit more significant for real significant unions and commitment and relationships that are taking place. Hopefully that's helpful. Hey, Speedy, we'll catch you soon. Oh, okay, well then there you go. So if you are single, pay close attention to what's happening in August and also in November, because we're going to start having eclipses that are going to be still going on between your 7th and your 8th house. Hopefully that's helpful, Kayla. I got Brandon. What's up, Brandon? Outlook of my future. 5 years from now. That's a great question. Let's take a look. So Brandon wants to know, what does it look like 5-ish years from now? Well, I couldn't have picked a better card. Are you going to cringe? I know you got some like Aries, Gemini stuff going on, so you're all about that freedom. But I mean, 10 of Cups is like, I mean, come on. You see two people, they're embracing each other, they're outside, everybody's happy, everybody's celebrating, there's like a bunch of kids. Like, could this be your future in 5 years, Brandon? Is it about your happily ever after? Is it about finding like a perfect union, the perfect place to be living, enjoying time and celebrating like all your happiness and your goals and your desires and everything kind of coming together very specifically, but with a union? It's about partnership. Sharing it with family. I mean, this is one of the best cards in the deck. It's basically saying like it's the happily ever after card. Everything does kind of playing out into your favor. but it does require other people. It requires the family that you make, or the family that you end up taking in. It does deal about emotions and how you're feeling about your family unit, right? So it takes on that feeling of like Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. What have you changed and transformed to be able to merge with other people? What kind of a home have you built? What have you healed? What have you moved towards? And this is a card that talks about everything kind of coming full circle. I mean, I would say 5 years from now, I don't know how old you are, but I think if I remember correctly, is your Saturn in Pisces? I don't remember. I think, was it in Pisces? I know you have like some Taurus and some Aries and Gemini placements, but 5 years from now, it's safe to say that you may be doing some of these things. Things may be settling down. You may be in a situation where you're thinking about committing, having a family, but you're also enjoying what you have built or where you are, especially if you're focused on like building a home or buying property or developing property, or like getting into a space where you're feeling like you can really call it your own. That seems to be kind of the theme that's going on in general. Oh, Saturn Aries. Okay. And I think you have like an Aries rising, right? So a lot of your Saturn return, or up until that, is about kind of forging your own way. But when you get to the other side of this, and it makes sense because you're definitely going to start seeing that there's going to be some transits that are very much affecting your 3rd and your 4th house, moving, developing property, buying property, getting into a space, calling it your own. But you're going to have some kind of clan with you. So generally this is, like I said, the happily ever after card. So it's definitely where things are going. That might not have been what you were expecting, but that's definitely what the cards are saying you're going to get. Interesting question. You'll have to come back 5 years from now when I'm an old lady and tell me what happens. All right, so we've got Concha. Concha says, reading, I'm wondering about someone from my past. He's a Pisces. I feel like he wants to talk to me again. Will he communicate with me and tell me how he feels? Let's see. So the Pisces from your past. Does he want to communicate with you and tell you how he feels? Girl, you are like tapped in, but what's the deal? Is he entangled with another person? Ooh, is he entangled? That's my concern. I mean, are you getting the vibes that like he's getting out of a relationship, something's breaking down, he's thinking about you? Is he going through a separation? Be careful. 10 of Coins reversed. This is talking about reevaluating what was lost, what he had, what he thought was going to stay around forever. It can be sometimes the breakdown, especially with the 3 of Cups, of like a family unit. So sometimes this card comes up when somebody's like, I'm leaving my girlfriend, I'm leaving my wife, things didn't, pan out in the city that I was in, I lost my job. Like he's going through some kind of change. Yeah, there you go. He's getting out of a relationship. And I would say be careful because 3's a crowd, girl, okay? I've seen these cards long enough to know when the 3 of Cups is coming up, is specifically with a coin that's reversed, it's kind of saying like things are changing. Maybe he's reflecting on the good times that he had with you. Maybe he's reminiscing and thinking about missing you and what he had, but he's still very much entangled with another person. And I don't know if this is you thinking about reaching out. I don't know if this is you like looking and like seeing what he's got going on, what he's doing. If you've been like having psychic moments where you're having dreams or thoughts that he's coming in, or you feel like he's pinging you, but like you need to tell him to show up in the 3rd dimension. Don't be reaching out to him. Because the Queen of Swords is telling me that you're like either picking up with your like little psychic radar that he's wanting to connect with you, or that you're like, okay, do I text him? Do I send him a message? Like I would say, don't do that. Fight the urge to do that, because not because he's entangled, but because he hasn't gotten himself out of that situation yet. Okay, so if he's ending a relationship, getting out of a relationship, going through a divorce, getting involved right now is gonna be a little messy. I definitely do think that there is a possibility that you guys are gonna communicate. If there is a way for you to psychically or intuitively or set the intention that's like, look, if you really wanna connect with me, stop bothering me in the dream world, stop harassing me. There you go, you've had dreams. Stop harassing me. Just reach out to me in real life. This is how you get in contact with me. Find my Instagram, find my Facebook, find my email, text me, call me, but like I can't reach out to you. You got to reach out to me, because you don't want to be the stepping stone person, because they kind of get the impression that he's just like, okay, well, what have I had in the past? Or like, what can I think about? Like, be very careful here. because it's going to take some time to really kind of clear through this and you know, get him out of that entanglement with that other person. But I do think you're going to hear from him. He's going to be done. It looks like he's fully getting out of this, and like they're going to be done, and they're going to be, you know, kind of split within about 3-ish months. Right around September, October, that's when the definitive stuff has kind of happened, where maybe they finally divided everything, or they've gone through some kind of legal separation, or they're no longer talking. But the person who he's been involved with may still be snooping around, or might still be kind of looking around, or they can be looking through his things, or they can be assuming that he's seeing what else is out there. It's going to make for a messy start. So do your best not to reach out. Wait, tell him in meditation he's got to reach out to you, because a little sticky there. Be careful. Olivia, what's going on? For the live reading, I'd like to ask about my older adopted sister, how to be more authentic with her, and whether what I said recently offended her. How do you be more authentic with her, and did you offend her recently? All right, let's take a look here. So in regards to the sister, ouch. Do you feel like you have to kill her with kindness? Do you feel like sometimes you just want to be like real with her, and that it's just getting old? I don't know if maybe you're feeling like you need to walk around on tiptoes with her or what, but there's something going on here. Something going on here. Cap Sun, Pisces Moon, and Rising. My older sister is a Taurus, Gemini, Cusp, Libra. We just reconnected after 24 years. Wow. Here's the thing that I'll tell you is, like, there is not a need for you to be overkill, because, you know, Seven of Swords can be like, this doesn't feel like it's like genuine, you know, like you don't want to feel like you have to push the connection or the relationship. Just reading through this again. So Taurus, Gemini, Cusp, Libra, Moon, and Rising. So, you know, Libra Rising, right? Libra Rising, Libra Moon. Moon's somewhere near the ascendant. Can be kind of moody, but I'm thinking about like the Libra Rising placements and the fact that Pluto is dredging up a lot of family secrets for Libra Risings. So I'm wondering, is it like a bittersweet thing that you guys are connecting, that on one hand, it's like, okay, you're my sibling, but on the other hand, it comes with like a really kind of difficult, challenging relationship dynamic because of the relationship that your parents had, right? And that, I don't know if you come from the same both set of parents. I get the impression there's something else here. So I don't know what happened, if it was like, you know, the family was expanded because there was a infidelity, or somebody ended up going and, you know, leaving a parent and then starting a new family. Like, there's some pain tied to this, right? And that's not your fault, but there's some pain tied to this. And so I think that the Nine of Cups, it's like getting your wish of being like, wow, I have this other sibling. I want to connect with her, and I want to be able to get to know her. And I knew that they were out there, and now we finally are. But at the same time, the Seven of Swords and the Ace of Cups is like waking that wound up, or bringing that wound up about somebody not feeling as loved, or somebody not feeling as appreciated, or somebody feeling like they were overlooked. So the dynamic that you may have with one parent and the dynamic she has with the other is very different. So try to just kind of consider this. But I think with the Seven of Swords coming up with the Ace of Cups is like this feeling like you're having to act a certain way in order to kind of win her over. Her sun is conjunct my North Node. We're technically not related, but she basically raised me and we got separated early on. Okay, so, you know, something about this makes me feel like with the Seven of Swords and the Ace of Cups, if you're feeling like it's inauthentic the way that you're behaving, and that, you know, you don't want to be acting overly appreciative, or you don't want to have to be laying it on thick, then don't do it. You know, it's like literally just don't do it. But also it's like taking into consideration that, you know, the dynamic may have changed. If it was somebody who raised you and took care of you early on, but you guys haven't connected, it's going to take time to build that connection back. Do I think that there is a sense of somebody being offended? No, but if somebody said something because they got their feelings hurt, or if somebody said something because they felt like they just kind of reached their breaking point, it would not surprise me. I feel like for the most part, because the Ace of Cups and the Nine of Cups are positive cards, it's something that can blow over, but don't feel like you need to go above and beyond to be extra, extra sweet because you're trying to kind of force that like relationship. Like, be authentic about it. Don't feel like you need to kind of say things just to be able to kind of bring her around or even smooth things over. But there's something off here. And I can't quite put my finger on it because, you know, these two cards, the Ace of Cups and the Nine of Cups, are super positive. The Seven of Swords is kind of like something's missing, something's kind of off here, something's not correct. Maybe is it you reminiscing on the connection that you used to have and the fact that you guys were very close and that she took care of you, and then there's been a long period of time and you want that closeness again, you want to have that familiarity again, but you feel like she's a little standoffish. You know, that's possible. There's something going on here that's just not kind of coming together. I finally struck my truth from love. I feel like I was looking out for her and she hasn't answered. Yeah. So if you're not feeling like she's being, like she's reciprocating in terms of the connection, leave her alone, let her be, let her come around. I feel like love conquers all with that Ace of Cups and the Nine of Cups, and that you're going to kind of have something unveiled that's going to come across for you, that's going to make you realize like, oh, that's where her issues are coming from. That's where her pain is coming from. There was some piece of the puzzle that was missing. But I do think that these two cards seem to indicate that you can overcome it. But yeah, it's okay to be authentic, because having to overdo it in a way and overcompensating is making it more difficult for you to just get on with it and have like a normal connection, you know? But I do think you're going to hear back from her. I do think that you can smooth this over, but not feeling the need to kind of push that connection that you once had is important. Hopefully that's helpful. Skin a cat, 1 card reading. I saw you here. Where was it? Did you want a general reading? Let me know. I'm trying to find your comment. Brenda. Let's take a look. Let me know if you are very welcome, Ascend Healing. Okay, my husband started school last month and moved more than 300 miles away. It's been tough and I've asked for a transfer at work. I don't want to make a lateral move since moving is expensive. Let's take a look. Oh, wow, that jumped out again. Interesting. I feel like that's still, we're not going to read that. I feel like that's still coming from the last reading. So it's then that was making it very clear that there's something going on there between the two of you that is about conversations that you need to have and show up and talk about some third party being involved there. There's something going on there. There's a third party. I don't know who else the other person is that was involved in that, but here we go. All right, so Brenda, Judgment, the World, and the Emperor. Here's the deal. From what I can see, making a change in the career stuff right now obviously is not a good move. You've got 3 majors coming up. Yeah, the long distance is tough, but it's basically saying that you're having to weigh the options of you needing to be super fixated on making the best decisions for your career. The World can be an indication of travel, but it's saying that like this is something likely to be happening closer to either the end of the year or spring of next year. So I would say from like December through about March, maybe April, there could be a shift. Judgment Reverse is saying be careful in making a decision too quickly, just because you're feeling the need to be closer to that person. And moving up the ladder is something that's coming up. I mean, the Emperor in the World card is saying like it's gonna be worth some of the sacrifices that you're making. You're gonna see things come full circle for you. It is gonna be possible for you to kind of have these changes. And as a Scorpio rising, Sun and Moon and Venus, the eclipses in the South Node are going through your sign. So Scorpio risings, you're having to let go of all of these things that you're used to doing on your own. On the flip side, the South Node going through there can also say you're learning from some sense of your behavior or being on your own, and it helps you appreciate relationships more. It can also be that you're focusing on making the best decisions when it comes to what's best for your partner. So I don't really get the impression it's a good idea now, especially knowing that there's going to be transits through your 10th house in the summer, July and August, where it's like really big career turning points. Most likely you're not going to be moving or making any changes like that, if at all, until you're having the eclipses that are going to be in the fall. So when those eclipses start hitting, in Taurus and in Scorpio, they will square Saturn from the end of October to the beginning of November, and I would say it won't be until then that you make a decision about moving. I think it would be the beginning of next year. And it's definitely worth focusing on the career stuff right now and not segueing from that, because it seems like if you do that, it would be like a little bit too soon. So many Scorpio risings are, with Saturn in the 4th, are experiencing this whole like, I have to be here and I have to be alone and my partner's somewhere else, or they're wanting to move somewhere else, or they're studying somewhere else. It's part of the process. Stay with it. Really pay attention to some of the things that are happening in July and August, because it's really going to provide you with all the answers that you need as to whether or not this is something you're going to stick with or if you're going to move on to the next chapter. But I would be really surprised if you're moving this year. It's difficult, but I would say the Emperor talks about you getting like a more superior role or getting a raise, or really having like a breakthrough and being able to kind of come out on top. Okay, hopefully that is helpful for you. And yeah, especially around the end of the year. But those eclipses that you're going to have that are going to be square Saturn in the fall. So the Scorpio, no, I take that back. The full moon eclipse that's going to be happening in Taurus in November, that's going to be the defining moment. So it looks like you're probably going to have to make it till about that time. And then when you have that eclipse, when it squares Saturn, you have to decide if they're moving back to be with you or if you're going to be making sacrifices for them. Not yet. Hopefully that's helpful. I've got Rosa, Amiko, Niall, and Ariella in that order. Don't worry, guys. I've got you. I've got you, Maui. So let's take a look at Rosa. Rosa said, 3-card tarot reading. I'm a Taurus sun and rising of the Pisces moon. He's a Virgo. What's the love reading? All right, Rosa, let's take a look. Let's see. Taurus sun and rising. How are those eclipses doing for you in the 7th? Jeez. Virgo. Virgo is your 5th house. Let's take a look. Love reading. So much earth. All right, Rosa. Well, to me, it's interesting because there's this sense of you looking at things going like, okay, we're working towards something, right? Like we're building towards something. We're working on a relationship, or we're working on getting there. This is a card that talks about like perfecting something, putting a lot of effort into something, being a Taurus sun and a Taurus rising, with some of these transits that are going to be going on over the next couple of weeks. As we start to see Venus making trines to Pluto, and we're also going to see a retrograde in your 5th, pay attention like this month and also like in the fall, like August going into September, when you see a lot of action in the retrograde for your 5th house, as to like, you know, bringing the love back, bringing the romance back. Right now it's like going through the motions and making sure that you're doing what you need to do in the relationship, but it can become kind of like repetitive. 7 of Wands reversed is feeling like you may not feel like you're in control of this connection right now. You might feel like, okay, you know, I thought I saw where this was going, but now I'm not so sure. Are we on the same page together? Usually this is a card that talks about feeling like you have the upper hand, and right now it seems like you feel like you don't have the upper hand, and you're frustrated that you're trying to overcome certain obstacles in the relationship, and you're starting to wonder, is it worth the effort and the work that I'm putting into this? Is it going to pan out? You know, are they appreciating me as much as I'm appreciating them? Am I putting enough effort into this? Is it going to get somewhere? And then we have the Hanged Man coming up reversed, which talks about feeling like you're in suspension or feeling like you're in limbo. So you can be feeling like, I don't understand, we've been in this connection, or like we've been building towards this thing and now I feel like we're disconnecting. What's happening? Or I feel like we're in a bit of a pause and I'm not really sure how to navigate this. There can be fears coming up, insecurity. There can also be like a lack of somebody taking the necessary steps or the motivation, or like literally kind of self-sabotaging when it comes to the relationship as well. It's interesting because this is the energy of Pisces, and so for Virgos, you know, having Neptune in their 7th house right now and having the squares from the Mercury retrograde, it's like feeling like they don't know which end is up when it comes to their relationship and also their work, and they may be feeling like a partner is becoming like a little bit detached or not as communicative or not as involved. So I would say, like, if you're feeling that way, or if you're feeling insecure, or if you're not really sure if you guys are on the same page when it comes to the future of the relationship, communicate with him. Don't check out, you know, and if you're noticing that he's not communicating very well with you, bring it up and talk to him, and talk to him about your goals in regards to the relationship and what you're hoping to achieve and where you're hoping to go together. Because just going through the motions, you know, earth signs can have a tendency to do that. This is a very earthly placement where you're just showing up, you see each other, you have dinner, you know, and then you go to bed and it's just eat, sleep, and repeat. There needs to be a sense of kind of being like, okay, well, where are we going? What are we doing? Just showing up is not enough. What is the next step? What are our goals together? And not in a way that feels combative, but just so that way you feel like you guys are going in the same direction in terms of, you know, your relationship goals in general, and not avoiding these conversations. And if you're getting the impression that he's drifting off a little bit, bringing it to his attention. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Rosa. Amiko says, what does Spirit want me to know about my struggles with finding my voice in my art to pursue a career in it professionally? Talked to you about this before, but still struggling. Sun, Moon, and Rising is Aries Sun, Taurus Moon, Pisces Rising. So let's see, Amiko, what does Spirit wants you to know about finding your voice in your art? King of Cups. Sun, Moon, Rising. So Pisces Rising. So it's addressing you more in a sense of the Neptune energy. You know, King of Cups is about inspiration. It's about being dreamy. It's about being whimsical. It's about putting everything out there, looking at everything out there, getting it all out there visually. It's about visual stimulation. So I'm wondering, like, what are you doing with your work? What do you put up to feel inspired, right? Who inspires you? What videos are you watching? What movies, what documentaries, what art or pictures or anything like that can you be putting up that's going to help you feel more inspired? King of Cups is also about mastering your emotions and what you do with the emotions. And, you know, they rise and fall when you're dealing with water placements. I think that the King of Cups can be talking about also a man that can come into your life who can inspire you. It can be like an artist that you look up to. It can be a mentor. It can be a friend who's like actually doing it and they're really passionate about it. This is the number one thing that I have been hearing about across the board with clients. And I've been dealing with it as well. This feeling of kind of being like, I don't want to just create something because I feel like I have to create something. I want to feel it, right? I want to feel like it's coming from somewhere significant or that I'm feeling inspired. We can't push these things. So I understand that you're still kind of struggling with being able to like really find your voice, but this is saying it's about finding the emotional connection, and that when you have something that really kind of strikes an emotional chord with you that you're really passionate about, or like how you use those emotions, how you use the extreme fear or sadness or frustration or happiness or whatever, love. This can also be a card that comes up that talks about finding like a muse or somebody that really inspires you, having like a real significant emotional or romantic connection to somebody that like really gives you like a new kind of pep in your step. So this can also be finding inspiration from other places and bringing that in other people. Like something for me that's so inspiring is like finding people that really genuinely love what they're doing, that they're really good at. And it doesn't mean that it's even something you need to go and watch on the internet. Like for me, it's like, I love watching people who are masters of their craft. You know, like I love watching people in a window when they're making all of these like fancy like chocolates, and they're blending and they're creating it and they're kneading all of the candy and all of that stuff. Like I love watching that. I love watching somebody who's on the street playing guitar, who's really good at playing guitar, but they're just out there doing it for dollar bills on the street, and you can just tell that you probably don't even have to pay them and they'd be out there doing it. You know what I'm saying? This is about finding inspiration from people who are just really in the moment and they're just putting their heart and soul into what they're doing. It's about being around those types of people, or inviting that type of energy into your life, or watching people as they're kind of perfecting their craft, or maybe somebody who comes into your life that's really going to inspire you and kind of wake up a sense of emotions that's going to help you get to where you're feeling inspired to go and create again. Have stuff that's going to be visually stimulating for you. Have stuff that's going to make you emotional, that's going to want to make you show your feelings. So it can be music, it could be doing some kind of therapeutic healing, something that's going to kind of get the juices flowing a little bit. Sometimes it can even be about having a glass of wine and being like, I'm just going to create for the sake of creating, and if something comes of it, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Get used to creating for the sake of pleasure and creating because it's something that you love doing. This is what the North Node in Taurus is teaching us. I think we're so fixated on doing things because we have to have an end goal, or we have to sell it, or we have to make money, or we have to be productive, that we're losing our sense of connection to that energy of Taurus, that sometimes we just do things because it brings us pleasure and because we're in the moment. Okay, hopefully that's helpful for you. No, Jessica, you're not too late. Let me know your question. I've got just 2 other people to get through, and then I will pull for you. I'm glad I got you. I had you on here. I was like, is she gonna come back? All right, so we've got Maui or Nile asked, is there a card that can provide some advice on my relationship and business partnerships this summer? Let's take a look. I've been trying to create, but I just don't like what's coming out yet. You just need a little lubrication for the process, my dear. Just a little bit. Something to get things flowing. Music, wine, body movement, dance, these things can help. Let's see. Ellie, are you still here? Let me know too. If you are, I'll add you onto my list. Let me know. Let's see. So questions in regards to advice with relationships and business partnerships. All right, this is for you, Maui. Well, King of Pentacles. This definitely talks about bossing up, owning up to things, handling things, maturing. This can be working with like strong and powerful and influential people, you know, like earth signs, or just people who are very good at what they do, people who have been working at this for a long time, really working with people who have been in the industry and they have some sense of like, you know, real knowledge and experience under their belt. But the King of Pentacles is also about making practical, logical choices, decisions, really thinking through how you're doing business, where you're investing your time, who you're around. It's got like a very Capricorn vibe to it, you know? And this isn't me being judgmental, but it's like you're going to be most like the people you surround yourself with. So if you're trying to get into the state of mind where you're like, I am busy, I'm successful, I'm making money, people, they respect me, they take me seriously, then you're going to want to carry yourself that way, and you're going to want to surround yourself with people who are doing that. But this is about movers and shakers and people who are actually like doing big things. So you're in the music industry. I would say what's really cool about this is that it also does talk about quality. So there is a sense of spending time working on projects that are going to end up paying off. So quality projects, not just let's throw things at the wall and see what sticks. This is more, okay, is this something that's going to be respected in a sense of the kind of music that's coming out? You know, are we just making, I said this the other day, I'm like, nobody makes albums anymore. People are just like making singles or EPs. The same way that we're not focusing on artists and like creating a whole piece of art. So this is about working with quality over quantity. So you might find that even though there's a lot of people that you could be doing business with, you know, you're keeping your circle kind of small, and you're really selective about the friends that you're kind of curating, that group or the professional network that you're curating. And also wanting to make sure that you're showing yourself in a way that is mature and reliable, that when you say you're going to do something, you show up. This is about doing things in a timely manner. This is about doing things in an old-fashioned manner too. So sometimes it's about reaching out to somebody and being like, hey, you know, let's get lunch, let's talk. I'd love to hear more about what you're doing. Instead of being like, oh, shoot me, you know, a text message, let's connect. This is keeping it classy. And so if you're trying to kind of network and like meeting with people who are going to be higher profile, it's going a little bit more above and beyond to really show people that that you mean business, and that you're reliable, and that you are somebody who is responsible and respectful and really motivated. So doing things a little bit more old school, maybe that means, you know, having business cards, shaking hands, you know, going out and attending mixers and events and things, and not going places to party, you know. It's like showing up and knowing, you know, when to kind of check out of the party and not staying and hanging out with the riffraff. So really maturing, kind of growing into that. Look for older people who are in the business that can be mentors, or people who can be kind of guiding you, or people who you're looking up to, and keeping it classy. Good luck on that with you. Ariella, I've got you. And then Jessica Martinez, I've got you. Ellie, if you want to send a donation and let me know your question, you can. Can we have somebody pin the PayPal link? Because I think we took the QR code. So if she wants to do that, she can. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. So we've got Ariella. I did not get your question. Are you here? Let me know. Jessica, I'll do your question until I hear from Ariella. So Jessica says, I have a Master Reiki class this weekend, and if I could just get some insight on that, I feel really good about the students. Awesome. Congrats. That's really exciting. Are you doing the certifications or the attunement in person, or are you also doing them like digitally? How many students do you have? Or are you the one getting attuned? I guess I should ask. Let's see what the tarot says. Cool. I'll get you, Ariella. I got you next. Ace of Swords, Six of Swords reverse, King of Swords. Interesting. So many swords, so much information, so much stuff being channeled through. Ace of Swords and the Six of Swords reverse talks about being in limbo. So I don't know if this is you being like, okay, I'm going to do the next class or the next attunement, and then I'm going to see how it goes or where it takes me. Okay. The attunements are in person. Our last class was March for the beginner levels. Okay. So this is saying like, this is about taking time to let that energy integrate. And so, you know, I've heard this a lot when people go through their attunements. They do the level 1, level 2, and then if you do decide to go to the master, you can, but you'll take some time to kind of let it settle it in. Whether or not you're using that attunement to purely be able to just kind of level up in your own practice or start charging objects or working on things, it seems like there's like a working period of time. So it can be, you know, 6 weeks, 6 months, just like letting that settle. Maybe this is like also you learning the whole process of being able to start initiating teaching on your own, but it's going to take a little bit of time before you get to the next step. Six of Swords and the King of Swords reverse. I know this sounds weird, but watch out for delays or the fact that somebody might reach out and be like, oh, you know, we have to move the time back, or so-and-so can't come, or we're going to have to make some kind of shift, because King of Swords talks about communication, and when it's reversed with the Six of Swords is like some people talking about having a difficult time either getting there or having a difficult time completing things, or maybe taking a longer period of time because people are going to be receiving the energy in a very different way. All of these swords is like communication, downloads from other places, people who are kind of feeling a little out of it or a little out of their body after going through the attunement. Working with these energies has brought up a lot in my personal life, fascinating things. Well, I mean, one thing I would say is that these cards make me kind of feel like there is a much more connected and assertive side to you that's coming out. There is a side of realizing, probably with that leveling up vibrationally, that you're like, this isn't serving me anymore. Like there are certain things that just energetically or mentally you can't tolerate, that you can't be around. So when you start doing this kind of work and your vibration changes, you can't be around lower vibrational people. You can't be hanging out around lower vibrational things. You're going to be more sensitive to some of this stuff. So it's saying that as you're going and doing more work in this process, you're realizing that it's also requiring you to, I think, work with the Reiki energy, I think, a little bit more consistently in your own practice to be able to get to kind of the next step. But for some reason, miscommunications or delays or issues with people being able to find the space, watch out for that. That can be something that can happen. People who get delayed, stuck in traffic, or they're not able to make it, and then you guys have to either reschedule something, or there has to be a part 2, or it ends up taking longer than anticipated because people might need a little bit more one-on-one work than usual. I think it's going to go fine. I would just say, I don't know what your policy is with, you know, people being late or no shows or whatever. But I would say, just be ready for anything that can kind of be changing in general. But overall, it looks pretty positive, and I'm really excited to see what comes of it. I think there might be some like journaling or some real significant messages or words or like mantras or things that kind of come through for people to help people who are in really difficult times, you know? Yeah, there's gonna be some people that are gonna be late or not communicating or they can't find the place. So maybe send an email out preemptively letting everybody know, hey, this is how you get in contact with us. Call this person if you're lost. This is the address. This is where you park. Because there's gonna be some issues here and somebody might be a little agitated that it's gonna kind of drag the group on a little bit. It's gonna take a little bit longer to get it done, you know? But it looks good. Okay, Ariella, you have a general. Oh, there you go. It's gonna come through however it wants to come through, you know? So let's go ahead and do a general here for Ariella. And then I'll take Ellie. And then we're gonna be done. All right, Ariella, this is a general reading for you. Obviously that card wanted to come out. 9 of Swords. A little challenging way to start off that reading. Dealing with something stressful, anxiety, losing sleep over a situation, worrying about something. What do you have going on? Page of Wands reversed and the 3 of Wands. So kind of like mental acrobatic stuff happening, kind of going in and out of like worrying about things. There can be a sense of worrying about things that you have no control over. Page of Wands reversed is like, don't sweat the small stuff. I think that when these two cards come up, it's kind of saying like, you can't worry about what hasn't worked out. You can't worry about the past. You can't change the past. All you can do is move forward. Page of Wands can sometimes, when it's reversed, be like a false start. So there's something that's coming up here that makes me feel like there is a sense of you maybe stressed out about your thoughts or your beliefs in general, needing to learn new ways to deal with your anxiety. There can be a sense of you being frustrated because you want to get things going, but you feel like things haven't really been rolling and timing has been off, you know? Oh, Cancer, Libra rising. Okay. So, you know, Mercury's been retrograde. It's the ruler of your 12th and your 9th, and it's been retrograde in the 9th, which is really, it can be really testing your belief or your faith in some capacity. Maybe you've realized that there's been like a lack of faith or that there's been a lack of connection that in turn has kind of stunted your ability to feel confident in moving forward with certain projects in your life, creative projects. There can be anxiety or worry over like romantic relationships, dating, maybe even children with that Page of Wands. And then the final card is the three of Wands. So it's moving through that, breaking through that fear, right? Being able to get over whatever these mental hurdles that you've been having and kind of going like, okay, there's where I've been. It doesn't matter. I'm only focused on where I'm going. It's like having your blinders on and being full steam ahead. Especially when it comes to moving your body, being more expressive, being more creative, being able to share what you're working on and what you're creating with others. 3 of Wands is about not just assessing where you're going, but actually starting the process of getting going. So a lot of Libra risings, I think, with some of these energies, both the retrograde, which does bring up a lot of anxiety, but I think Jupiter also is really pushing you to rise to the occasion and be initiating new relationships and like not worrying about what if it doesn't work, you know, because there can be a sense of what if it doesn't work? What if I'm not well received? What if they don't like me? What if it does? There is a need for you to kind of be like, you know what, we're gonna kind of turn over a new leaf and kind of go in a different direction and be willing to embrace change and get excited about where you're going, even if you don't have a plan yet. So dealing with anxiety, and if you've been having like issues with anxiety, problems with rest, worrying about the past, feeling like the past, you're never going to escape the past, it's time to start a new cycle. It's time to try something different. Otherwise, you're going to kind of stay in that space. But I can tell you that now that Mercury's direct and things are moving forward, I think you're going to start to see more clarity. And maybe this is about, you know, taking a short trip. 3 of Wands can be about being like, I need to take a couple days off, or I need to take a weekend away, or I need to go and visit some friends, or I need to do something just to really kind of clear your mind and kind of get everything fresh again. But it does look like that's going to clear up. Glad to hear that was accurate. Hopefully you're able to go and do something to kind of break that energy up a little bit. Ellie. Ellie says, do I keep my trip to Europe at the end of June or reschedule it for July or August and focus on work right now? Let's take a look. I know we looked at dates. I remember that. So does she keep her trip to Europe at the end of June or reschedule? King of Wands, 9 of Cups, 5 of Coins. So the question is are you stressed about money? Are you concerned about whether or not you're going to be able to bankroll this potential trip, right? Because 5 of Coins is like really reminding you to make sure that you're going to have everything. Like if you feel like going on this trip right now is pushing it, that you're not going to have the extra expenses that you, or the extra finances that you need to cover expenses, and that it's cutting it a little too tight, and that you're going to have to skimp on accommodations or food, be mindful. King of Wands, 9 of Cups is interesting because these two cards are like you being like, yeah, I could do it. I could swing it. It'll be fine. Like, it'll be okay. And the truth is like you could go and it would be fine. It just, you may not have quite the experience that you would want because you wouldn't have the extra cash is what it looks like. But the King of Wands and the 9 of Cups is also saying being creative and inventful when it comes to ways that you can be able to kind of bring in work or bring in creative work or focus on a way of bringing in more resources. In the end, it says you're going to have a good time and everything's going to pan out. I'm wondering with the King of Wands and the 9 of Cups, is this about another person who ends up inspiring you and encouraging you to go? Is it about somebody who goes with you? Is there going to be a connection that you're going to have with somebody business-wise that's going to make you feel confident and be like, yes, I can do this. I'm going to swing it. You know, these two cards are saying you can go. This card is saying if you go in the time frame that you have set now, that money is going to be a little tight. If you are rescheduling and deciding that you're going to do this, I would say you either want to do this for like mid-July or you want to do this closer to probably the second half of August. If you push it back, it looks like you're only going to be pushing it back about 5 weeks. But regardless, you're still going to go. It's just, do you want to go and be able to splurge and spend a little bit more money and have a good time? If that's the case, push it back. If you're saying, you know what, I'll take my chances, I know I can swing it, and work might come in right at the very last minute, that makes me feel like I can, you know, have work when I come back. And if you're willing to kind of do with a little less in terms of accommodations and what you're spending and food and stuff, you can still go. It's just, where are you going to be most comfortable? And be mindful also, 5 of Coins is about being left out in the cold. So it's also about, if you do make cancellations or changes, doing it within a certain period of time, so that way you're actually getting a refund. Because if you do it with too short of notice, there can be a sense of you not getting something back. You know, that is something that can definitely happen. So you want to watch for that. Be careful with that, because you can kind of get left out in the cold and be eating fees or not getting a full refund on something. So be mindful of that as well. But I mean, honestly, you could go now. It'd be fine if you went now. I just don't know if it's going to be as comfortable. So I don't know if that's something that you're feeling, or you're kind of like, I need to be working first, so that way I know I have money, so I feel secure when I come back. Either way, you're going to go. Either way, I see you having a good time. But you know, this King of Wands makes me feel like there's somebody who is going to come in that's basically going to be what you've wished for, what you've asked for, whether it's a client, somebody you work for, a job, somebody who says that they'll go with you, so they'll split expenses. There's something that's gonna come up here that's gonna end up being like a little bit of a blessing, that's gonna make you feel more confident with your trip. Okay? So hopefully that is helpful. Looks like I got everybody from the looks of it. Yep, we got everyone. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks for stopping by on a Tuesday. Catch me tomorrow. I'm going to be live again for the Midheaven podcast. I'll be doing that sometime in the evening. I'm not sure. Usually I think we do it like around 6:30 or 7. So if you follow the Midheaven podcast account, we'll be doing readings on that channel. If you did not already see the video, I put out a new video today too. It was all about Venus's conjunction to Uranus, how that's going to totally change and uproot and innovate our preferences, what we like, what tastes good, what feels good, our money, and Venus's move through the sign of Taurus as it touches on the North Node and squares Saturn. So if you want to understand that transit, how it's really going to change our love and our money over the next 2 weeks, check that video out. Thursday, I'm going to be back with another video. It's going to be all about Mars and Chiron and the conjunction and how we're healing personal wounds. And if you catch me on Saturday night, I'll be here 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing live astrology readings. I'll post the link probably tomorrow or Thursday. So if you want to get in the queue for that, you can. If you haven't already considered joining my memberships, please do. You're going to get a reading included in your membership on level 3 every month. So you can choose if you want tarot or astrology. It's a great way to check in with me regularly and get a little bit of a sample of my reading style. And if you want to book a reading with me and you want to do a one-on-one session, check me out. I'm booking into August now. My website is down below at beyondtheveiltarot.com. You can go and see my list of services, my availability, and you can actually book and reserve time on my website. Otherwise, I will see all of you guys very soon. Be back in a couple days. Enjoy the rest of your week. Take care.